Oh, the scent of cloves can only mean one thing, kids. Either the devil's afoot or it's time for Fat Man Beyond. I'm your host, Kevin Smith.
I'm Marc Bernardin.
Hey!
Oh,
For the record, he's also your host. I don't know why he never chooses to identify himself as such. I always have to let you know right at the top of the show who the fuck I am. Otherwise, you're like, who's the asshole in the funny fucking hat? Was he trying to storm the Capitol? No, as a matter of fact, I'm not. This is a movie's cap, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm just a dude who crashed a feed. That's all.
Yeah, exactly, man. I'm the guy who wants to get his hater tots on, for heaven's sake. How's everybody doing, kids? Mark, before the show began, was doing a pretty epic job of humming the theme from Raiders of the Lost Ark. When did you see it in the theater when you were a kid?
I did. I remember being fucking petrified. Like, it was one of my formative cinema going movies experiences because I was like 9 or 10 and had just come off of like Empire Strikes Back. Like, I think I was, or maybe it was coming off of Star Wars. I don't remember the chronology of how I saw it because back in the day, kids, movies would be in theaters for years. And sometimes they would just come back. Like Star Wars was in theaters for like a year and a half to 2 years, and then would like return one summer just because they thought it'd make some more money.
Raiders of the Lost Ark was in the theaters minimum 6 months, probably a year, because I saw it when I was a kid like 46 times or something.
Yeah. And so like being in love with Han Solo from Star Wars, I'm like, I want to go see the movie that dude does next, and went to go see Raiders and was not prepared for faces melting. Because it's hard to be prepared for faces melting when you're 9 years old and it's the first time you've seen faces melt. And so that it scarred me in, I guess, a good way, but still.
And that, kids, is the story of legendary pusshole Marc Bernardin, who sees one of the lamest special effects in cinema history, and it turns him chicken.
Yeah, like, Mark, have you never seen a candle melt? Like, it's just a fucking candle, dude.
You know, honestly, I forgot about that. I saw Raiders when I was 10. I was in 5th grade. I don't know. That didn't affect me and shit. What kind of soft boy were you? I was about to give you the benefit of the doubt and be like, well, he was 9. I was fucking 10. It's not like I was that much more mature.
I was the softest boy in the Bronx.
Did you see? Yeah, no doubt. Fuck. Did you see Jaws when you were a kid in theater?
I didn't. I didn't catch Jaws until much, much later.
So that would have fuck melting faces as a child. You would have been like, no more of that, please.
Yeah, no beaches, please.
Although at the same time, you'd be like, more. Can I see another? And they give you Jaws 2 and Jaws 3. Just like they're going to give us another Indiana Jones. He's about to do it again.
Yes. Although after watching that clip that surfaced this week of David Blaine going to Harrison Ford's house, and Harrison Ford, apparently not smart enough to not invite a warlock into your place, watches him do some magic trick and then just get the fuck out of my house.
It was very reminiscent of Get Off My Plane. Just more low key. It looked like, I looked it up, it was like a 7-year-old clip or something.
Wow. But yeah,
it means that Harrison Ford has looked as old as he looks for at least 7 years now.
I feel like he turned a corner. I feel like, maybe
on the Oscars, he was awesome. He read the editing notes to Blade Runner.
Yeah, too slow, boring, like a cold fish.
Why do they keep cutting to the coffee? Look, he could be, tied to a gurney. I think James Mangold, old Jimmy Mangold, would find a way to make Harrison Ford like exciting and interesting for the new Indiana Jones movie. I'm not counting. I mean, I think Harrison Ford will bring it because he brings it in fucking everything. But I think the one to watch in that scenario is going to be Mangold. He has too much to lose to make a bad version of an Indiana Jones movie. So even if the world, the universe opens up to you and is like, we're going to let you make a fucking Indiana Jones movie, you get to be Spielberg. Like, there's no way you drop that fucking ball. Even if they're like, but part of the, the learning curve is that your Indiana Jones is 120. So tell your fucking story. He only works 3 hours a day and he likes to smoke weed. Good luck. So, if I think Mangold is going to crush it, dude.
I mean, I have faith, but the trick is going to be not making it like Indiana Jones and the Curse of Elder Abuse, because you're just making this old man do things that old men can't do. Run and jump and hag behind tanks and like jump off planes and like, bro.
If they need him to sit, which is generally what us old timers do, he got it. He's perfect. He'll be great, man. Like like here, this is a true story. When I was working on that movie that made my career, the one that everybody loves, Cop Out. When I was working on Cop Out with the inimitable Bruce Willis, legendary Bruce Willis, Bruce Willis told me his idea for the dream Die Hard movie that he was wishing that they would make next. Now, to be fair, the next one they made after we worked together was the Russian one, right?
Yeah, Live Free or Die Hard.
No, that was the one.
That was yours?
A Good Day.
A Good Day to Die Hard.
So we were doing Cop Out as before he did A Good Day to Die Hard, and this back on Cop Out. And obviously this didn't come to pass because A Good Day to Die Hard was what it was. But this is what he told me was his dream version of a Die Hard movie that he would get full freight on. That was the key to the story.
Oh yeah, $20 million
on this. Yeah, he gets his top dollar amount. Movie opens with, John McClane in a thing. Bam, John McClane fight, but overpowered, and he gets captured, tied to a chair, and they're gonna execute him. And they're like, "Do you have any last words to say, McClane?" And he's like, "Did I ever tell you about my first job?" And then we flash back to his first adventure. You would imagine we'd flash back to Die Hard. That would be the logical, and that would be the great way for him to like get paid to play John McClane again, to just kind of reintroduce Die Hard. But in his mind, they would have a younger person play him getting his job on the police force, like how he went from a rookie to a detective or whatever. And then you periodically, if you need to, he said, you cut back to him in the real, in real time. But best case scenario, you didn't see real John McClane until after the new adventure with the younger John McClane. And then older John McClane, of course, would yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, and get out and, probably using some of the same skills, I'd imagine, Mark, we had just seen in his younger adventure.
The best version of that, though, is the, tied to a chair. Let me tell you about the time I visited Nakatomi Plaza, and then literally just roll the movie.
I'd fucking pay to see that movie. I swear to God. If, I was going to say Fox, all Disney has to do would be like, we just shot an opening 10 minutes and we tacked on a 5, and 98% of the movie is literally Die Hard, but at the top and bottom there's something new.
Yeah. What's your budget on this? Like 20 million for Bruce, and then like $87 to shoot a bookend.
The rest of it, the catering's way the most expensive aspect of the shit. But I honestly, I'm not even mocking him. I would watch that version of the movie. I was like, that is a great idea. And then the next time they did it, it wasn't that at all. It was him running around, with Captain Boomerang, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I think there might be a path forward that way for Indiana Jones 5, where he's just like strapped to a chair in some Nazi castle. And it's like, well, or better yet, some Cold War bunker, because he is 80 years old.
Well, wait a sec. Last time we saw him was Cold War, right?
Yeah, even though there were also somehow Nazis.
Let's take it to the 70s, son. Fucking Indiana Jones saves Argo. He's one of the fuckers that he's on the Argo crew and shit. He's the old man. They had a bunch of old men in that movie. He could be one of the old men on that crew.
Yeah, where the whole gag is, they told me I belonged in a museum, so now I work in a museum. And he's like the curator of some fucking museum, and bad guys come and show up to steal some shit, so he's got to go track it down.
So you're talking about a crossover between Indiana Jones and The Night at the Museum.
Yes, I am.
Night at the Museum 5, Indiana Jones 5, 6?
5.
Oh my God. So it could be, which Night at the Museum are they up to?
I think they're up to 3.
Indiana. All right. So Night at the Museum 4, Indiana Jones 5. That's the title. And that's a great fucking plot. Oh my God, man. That, you could even get away with making that movie with Harrison Ford without it being Indiana Jones.
Right. You know, but if you
Wink
get
at
it,
the audience, never mind these fucking fake dog movies he's making, White Fang and shit. Let's have him make the, you know, fucking Die Hard in a museum, but really it's Indiana Jones.
it's like, is it globetrotting? Well, I'm going from floor to floor, and each floor is a bit different.
But fuck globetrotting. This is era trotting, because you go from Mesozoic to the Paleozoic to the fucking whatever. I don't know all the eras, Mark. You're the writer. You'll let us know. But
disco,
definitely, because it's the 70s. Fuck, man. Look, if James Mangold doesn't feel up to the task, I think we got a winner here, man.
I'm pretty sure we can get Ben Stiller to cameo at the end to be like, what did you guys do?
Yeah, you ruined my franchise.
And the museum.
Man, oh man. Fucking, you got me excited for a movie don't exist. You know what? All that talk, Mark, about movies that we'll never see, has made me sweaty.
Made you schwitz a bit?
It made me a little stanky, and I don't like to stink, Mark.
No.
Nobody likes to stink. You know what stinks? The fact that fucking Night at the Museum / Indiana Jones mashup movies like that. That's a good fucking idea. All right, leave the jokes aside. Leave the Night at the Museum aside. That is a legit good idea for an Indiana Jones movie.
No, but I mean, you know,
What, did you just come up with that while we were just sitting here?
That's how this works, baby.
Once again, like the Cinderella idea, that is fucking gold. You could present that to a Kathy Kennedy, man. You could present that to Harrison Ford, and he'll mumble something about fucking how it's a good idea.
You're a fucking hack, but so am I. So let's go.
He's like, I just look, sounds easy. You got a T1 line and some weed. Let's do it. And out you go. Man, oh man. Anyway, back to the point.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to stink. That movie, the only thing that stinks about that movie is it's not going to exist. The only way to take away the stank that movie will never exist, Mark.
How?
Native deodorant. Go to nativedeo.com. You see that ham-fisted segue?
Oh, man, it was nice. It was like
what
shimmy.
Join me, children, at nativedeo.com. That's their main page. As I extol the virtues of this company that takes your stink away. We are human beings. We every minute of our lives, you're rotting, falling apart, dying in front of everybody, and you smell just like it. Shower all you want. You can't escape death. There's only one way to cheat death in this life. Native deodorant, ladies and gentlemen. nativedeo.com/fatman. Go there right now, man. You're going to get a bunch of money off. Let's see. Use the promo code fatman at checkout. You're going to get 20% off your first order. That's nativedeo.com/fatman, or use the promo code fatman at checkout for 20% of your first order. This shit is vegan, kids. Now, don't let that turn you off if you're like, I love meat. Nobody wants to smell like meat. Trust me, I used to. So you want yourself a deodorant that's all natural. And this native shit, it's all natural. Here, best commercial I could do for Native. We do ads for them, at least twice a month. Easy. My wife don't listen to this show. She thinks I'm a waste of time, and the show follows. But we got Native products in our shower. She actually buys this shit in the wild. Our advertising may not work on her, but somebody's is, because she's buying this stuff, man, and she loves it. Native deodorant. They got the sticks you stick under your arm. Now they've added face and body sunscreen as well.
Yes.
Which is good for those of us out here. What's that?
Sunscreen. Ooh. New mineral-based sunscreen. Now has a broad spectrum SPF 30 sunscreen for your face and body. Lightweight, absorbs quickly, and you can choose between unscented or coconut and pineapple. 2 sizes. Look at it.
And those are vegan scents as well. Coconut.
Indeed.
I like these Native people, man, because at the end of the day, they just don't want anybody to stink. You know, they're like a supportive parent that's like, I want you to do the best you can. They're like, I want you to smell the best you can. And this is how you can possibly smell your best. You can't possibly smell better than when you're rolling on some Native deodorant, man. What are you waiting for? How many times I got to tell you? You could eat it if you wanted to. Don't, but you could. It's made of all the natural stuff, and yet still takes your stank away, ladies and gentlemen. Nativedeodorant.com. What were you going to say, Mark?
I was just gonna say, like you said, stay fresh, stay clean, native deodorant, nativedeo.com/fatman, or use a promo code fatman at checkout. Get 20% off your first order. Do it.
We thank the good folks at Native for being a sponsor of Fat Man Beyond for as often as they have. Like, I'm always assuming that, you get a sponsor, they're like, look, I hit everyone I could with their fucking audience, but that's, the fact that we get Native coming back has nothing to do with how clever me and Mark are. It has to do with the fact that the audience is consistent, but changes. Apparently there's new people coming in all the time, and somebody's like, I do stink. And then they go to nativedeo.com and they buy it and stuff. So thank you all for supporting our sponsor who supports us.
Indeed.
Use
your thinky. Don't be stinky.
Fucking look at that. He's writing. All right. For the good folks at Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. I get nervous, so I'm lighting a clove cigarette.
Indeed. Also because you just want to smell nice.
If I wanted to smell nice, Mark, I'd be using nativedeodorant.com, but since I'm alone in this room, I don't feel the need to do it right now. How you been? What you been up to?
I've been good, man. I actually last week, for the first time, left my house and went to dine with people in a restaurant.
You went indoors to eat?
Well, no, it was an outdoor thing. I'm still not there yet, but I met with people not in my household for a meal brought to me by somebody for whom that's their job.
Now, to be fair, you've had both of your jabs.
I'm fully vaxxed.
And to be fair, like most of us, probably in LA, I can't speak for the world, but you've been eating restaurant food all year, just not somebody handing it to you at the restaurant.
Indeed. Like I have not eaten food brought on a plate by somebody who cooked it.
What was were you scared? Did you keep your mask off the whole time?
I kept my mask because it was outdoors and there was nobody else really on this little particular veranda that we were on. Ooh, what's that?
Mike Kind makes a Movies CBD seltzer, cannabis seltzer.
Oh my.
That we've been doing at our Movies pop-ups, man. We got one that's going on right now in St. Louis and one that's opening in Austin. Next week, the week after next week. Anyway, back to you. Sorry.
Yeah, and it was also like I felt good because the other people that I was with were vaccinated, and so yeah, man, it was mask free. Just getting to look at people's faces and read emotions in the totality of it. It was especially nice because it was a bit of a He-Man gathering. It was me and Tiffany Smith and Dia Mishra. We all went out for lunch.
Fucking that. What? And no. I know all three, and none of you think to fucking give me a shout. Fucking jerks. Where'd you guys go?
We went to this place in North Hollywood called District Pub, which was delightful. They let us sit there for like 3 hours and just gab like people who had not had social interactions with non-family members for a year.
Oh, it wasn't vegan. See, kids, that's why I wasn't invited.
Yeah. What do they have on this menu? They even put meat on the salad.
I have not. I haven't eaten outside. Not since shit went south a year ago. Nor have I eaten in a restaurant since shit went south. But they just said recently that, like, New York City, as of July, the mayor de Blasio is saying that they're going to be completely open as of July, and that's no restrictions whatsoever. That means everybody can go, as many people as you want could go in a restaurant.
Yeah.
So now with the freedoms being handed back in terms of like, hey man, we think we're getting good, so we're gonna let you guys act like society again. I still feel hesitancy to engage. Like my kid, I asked my kid, I was like, you want to get some food from this place? It was from Crossroads. They make great vegan food out here. And I was like, I'm gonna get some Crossroads. You want anything? And she's like, oh, we're going to Crossroads? I was like, fuck no, we're not gonna go sit in a restaurant. Not for like fun. Those days are over.
Yeah,
it's a distant memory, man.
It was definitely like, hey, waiter, could you gently ease us back into society because we forgot kind of how to act in places. So be kind.
Were you like fucking Jake Blues and the Blues Brothers and shit? It's like you forgot how to be in a restaurant where you're like,
Two whole
how much the little girl sell me your children.
I want to buy your women.
Or fucking Dan Aykroyd was just like, wrong glass, sir.
Yeah. But it was really nice. It was really nice.
It is, I'm sure, wonderful to be amongst people you enjoy being amongst, doing something you haven't gotten to do in quite some time.
Very much so. I saw some shit. I've been watching things.
What'd you see?
I watched Mortal Kombat, which I think came out just after the last time we did the show.
Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
Did they play the song?
The song was not in it as much as I wanted it to be.
How much? And did they use it? Did they deploy it well?
They did some it's in the closing credits, I think, and there might be some variations, some themes of it get woven into the score, but it's not what you want it to be, which is just give me the fucking techno rave combat sequence. Like, oh guys, you had a job. You didn't do that job. I will say this movie is not good. But it's not good in the same. It's very similar.
Wait.
What?
I think the internet broke in two. Marc Bernardin doesn't like something. I don't fucking believe this.
I know, like the Mr. Rosie himself, Mr. Sunshine and Apple.
Unfortunately, I haven't seen it, so I can't be like, don't listen to him, kids. He's mean. He's just a meanie. It's great. I haven't seen it. That trailer looked amazing, though. What about the blood stab? Was that awesome?
It was awesome. That part is kind of neat. There's some interesting scenes in it.
Is your argument, Mark, that blood stab is not enough to sustain a 90-minute motion picture?
It's kind of that, yeah. It makes about as much sense as Godzilla versus Kong does, which you loved, which I enjoyed, even though full well that script is garbage and the human characters aren't doing very much, and all you're doing is waiting to get to like, I want to see Godzilla punch Kong and vice versa. But the thing you get out of Godzilla v Kong that you don't get out of Mortal Kombat is spectacle, which is, I haven't seen Godzilla punch Kong since like 1977. This is kind of cool and big and huge, whereas Mortal Kombat is martial arts, which have been done better elsewhere. So like if your script is going to be this bad and you're not going to find ways to make the best martial art movie I've ever seen, then it's kind of just sits there. And the internal logic doesn't make any sense, and the characters are kind of bad, and the dialogue is pretty awful. And then every now and again, a dude gets stabbed with ice. Like, that's cool. Or a person gets stabbed by his own blood. That's neat. You were lecturing.
I was muted. I got news for you, man. Like, fucking, when did the bar get so high with, like, every once in a while somebody gets stabbed and there's a fatality, but ... In a movie like Mortal Kombat, did you have a high bar?
Well, I did. Not because of other Mortal Kombat movies, but because like there are other martial arts movies I've seen in the last 5 years that are insanely great. With like bare bones script. Like The Raid does not have a great script.
The first movie that everybody goes right to is The Raid. It is a perfect example of like captures your imagination. Insanely well made, plausible, great script, great driving story, but very simple concept. Like
totally, it's like I got to get from the bottom to the
floor,
top,
the bottom floor to the top floor,
and now we're here. But in
fuck, why didn't they put that on the poster?
From the bottom to the top, and now we're here.
That would have really helped the movie punch through.
Like there's this movie called The Night Comes for Us that I first caught on Netflix, which again, it's a very simple plot, like triad gangster trying to leave the life and to save this kid, and finds it difficult to do so because a bunch of mobsters are after him. And so it's 90 minutes of just viscera. And it's great because I've never seen martial arts quite like this before. And the amount of care, it's like the John Woo of martial arts. But this was just kind of meh. With a side of, okay, with every now and again, something kind of cool, which isn't enough.
Familiarity with the franchise, of course, but not. I think I saw the first one in a theater, but I don't remember if I saw the following sequels.
Yeah.
So I was not like can't wait, but I did get very excited after seeing that trailer, which was I'd never seen that. But I still make the argument, Mark,
Yes.
that you could get away with. We're gonna get to make a prediction. 15 years from now, there will be a whole side of this business where people pay full movie price to watch a trailer. Just the best parts. Like, it's just like, we're going to show you everything that's wonderful about this and, save you a lot of time. Because in the future, Mark, we won't have a lot of time. So we're going to need time-saving devices, and this will be one of them. Movies will just become trailers, so you'll never be disappointed. You'll always be like, that looks amazing. Series of mini movies for big movies we'll never see.
I got my money's worth. Yeah, like, and the thing that's always a little annoying about this is that the martial arts competition concept as a structure is so bulletproof and so simple, which is a bunch of people go to a place, they got to fight, there's going to be a winner. Why do they go? They've all got individual motivations. Some want money, some want glory, some want revenge, whatever that is.
Or they were all brought there by the Beyonder.
Either way, it all plays. And so to somehow mess that up feels like, hey, you made a Rocky movie and you somehow messed up the formula of Rocky, which is schlub gets to have a shot at the title and may or may not win. There's going to be a fight at the end. Give me the fight. They didn't give me the fight. So yeah, I will say the thing that I've been watching, aside from our big topic this week, which we'll get into in a little bit, but For All Mankind. Have you tuned into For All Mankind yet?
I have not yet.
It is on Apple TV Plus. It was created by, among other people, Ron Moore, who did Outlander and Battlestar Galactica. And it is the alternate history of the American space program.
What does that mean, the alternate history?
It means that, slight spoiler, except that I think this is part of the premise of the show, so I don't feel that bad about it. By the end of the first episode, you realize the Russians beat us to the moon. So what happens if we're not first? What happens if the first footprints on the moon are not American? And what that does to the national psyche, and what that does to the sort of unspooling of how we would then attack space, and how more aggressive does it make us to be on our back foot as opposed to our forefoot. And so it's so incremental. Like the changes in the way the story kind of spill out go from very, very small to suddenly we need female astronauts, to suddenly we need Black astronauts, to suddenly we're building a moon base, like to the things that we never actually did because perhaps we were not incentivized to do. There was no real urgency on America's part once we kept going to the moon and not doing much once we got there. And then we just stopped going altogether. Like what happens if the moon is all there is? And it's great. Like I got 2 episodes into the first season and was like, oh, we're watching all of this now. And I think, here's the thing, Jen would love this. Jen would swallow this whole for any number of reasons.
You don't know if my wife swallows whole or not, Mark. Don't keep your presumptions. Really? Is it? Yeah. I remember watching a trailer. I saw a bunch of lady astronauts.
Yeah. I mean, I think they do a lot and play a lot with things like, class and gender and race and sort of sexuality in ways that I wouldn't have expected this show to deal with when I started watching it, but then was like, oh yeah, no, I totally get it. Like that's what this is about. This is America in a nutshell, and how America propels itself to be kind of what it needs to be in spite of itself half the time. But yeah, no, I think she would dig it. I think I'm halfway through the second season.
I'll tell you right now, if anyone out there is watching, and if anyone out there is Tim Cook or Tim Apple, the former guy, give fucking Mark a job, because I literally look at Apple TV every day on a giant fucking TV screen. And I remember looking at the Ted Lasso ad and never once clicking on it until Mark fucking hyped it. And I've seen this For All Mankind thing and never fucking clicked on it. And now you just made me go like, oh, I want to watch that.
Yeah, no, it's really,
They
really good.
hire you to fucking carve up Apple and serve up Apple, man. You know how to sell this shit.
Just give me a screen. Come on, Tim Apple. Just give me 60 seconds in a screen and I'll make people watch your shit.
Tim Apple, we could give your company to Jeff's kiss it's looking for, man. We, Fat Man Beyond, can put you over the top. You talk to nativedeodorant.com, nativedeo.com/fatman, 20% off.
Yeah. And we realize you're struggling, Apple, that maybe you need a little help.
Yeah. Especially hurt by the pandemic. One of the many companies probably had to take some PPE or whatever. Like, look, this is your chance to break through.
What you need is a couple of middle-aged podcasters to help push you over the edge.
They're like middle age. Yeah. Not you guys. You guys are old. We're old. That's fucking middle age.
The other thing that I saw this week that I dug was the Sweet Tooth trailer.
Yes, which I just watched like an hour, 2 hours ago. Oh my God, it looks wonderful. It looks like Spike Jonze directed it. Like it looks like Spike Jonze Where the Wild Things Are.
Yeah.
This is based on the DC comic, right?
Yeah, by Jeff Lemire.
Canadian Jeff Lemire.
And like
Canadians prosper, man. Like good for him.
Yeah. And you can sort of tell when like Netflix decides they want to get behind something, which is the earlier they show you what it is, the more impressed they are by it. And so like this show is still not until I think maybe end of July, maybe early August. I don't recall. I'm sure they say at the end of the trailer, but I forgot because I was so wowed by the fucking visuals. But you know, it's early for them to be dropping stuff like this, but they look at it and they say, no, we're 100% on board for this. Like show it to the people.
I think it's wise because it's got me hyped. I was like, are you shitting me? Like this looks fucking wonderful, man. That was a great trailer. I just saw another trailer for, I'm like, holy shit. I think they made this show just for me, called Hacks, which is an HBO Max.
Now with Gene Smart.
Let me tell you something. She's having a moment, Gene Smart. I mean, she's had a wonderful career, of course, going way back to like Designing Women, but like HBO loves her because she was in, you know, The Watchmen. Then she's in Mayor of Easttown right now. And now she's
talking about water.
The lead in Hacks.
Yes.
And it looks fantastic, legit funny. Whenever they do shit about funny people or backstage at comedy clubs, like, you know, generally the funny isn't quite there. They don't capture true stage comedy. There were a few beats in the trailer that are legit fucking funny. And she is a goddamn fucking treasure, man. After I watched that trailer, I was like, how old is Gene Smart? 70. She can be 70.
Wow.
So I guess she just aged into this point where everybody's like, get her. I mean, I'm so happy they did because I'm watching that trailer made me go back and rewatch her first episode in The Watchmen when she's introduced, when Laurie Blake is introduced. She was so fucking good in that. I never watched Designing Women, but like I'm on a Gene Smart love affair thing where I feel like I might go watch Designing Women. I'm so into Gene Smart.
Just give me more sugar, Baker.
I know. Yes. But that looks good as well, man. So yeah, fucking there's some shit worth seeing soon.
That's awesome. Yeah, at some point we'll get into the Nevers, which I've been watching.
Have you watched it?
I've seen every episode so far. It's and I feel like maybe it's the kind of show that requires a full breadth of what it is. Like, let's watch all of what they have, and then we'll talk about it then. But it's a little rocky. It has some great parts to it. It has some troublesome parts to it. But yeah, I think we'll approach that at a later date because we have to talk about perhaps one of the best shows I've seen all year this week.
What?
Invincible.
Oh, I was like, holy shit! Like
you got something else?
Yeah, I was like, what don't I know about? Oh yes, let's talk. That's true. This week's artwork by the great Nate Gonzalez is predicated on Invincible, which came to its conclusion this week, I guess just yesterday, Friday,
yes,
on Amazon Prime. Holy fuck. What a wonderful run. I'm glad I didn't know the story at all. I didn't know where it was going. I did not know it'd get to where it got to. Jesus. And I had no idea that we could keep going. And, you know, I'm now equally as excited for the future as I am for the past that just wrapped up. It was an epic first fucking season. Like I kept referring all the last 2 years we've been working on the Masters of the Universe Revelation cartoon. When people were like, what is it? I was like, well, it's kind of like adult animation. They're like, what? I'm like, no, nobody fucks. But I mean, like, they're grown up themes, and it's, you know, kids can enjoy it, but it's definitely more geared toward grown up. And I feel silly because Invincible is a fucking grown up cartoon. Like, grown the fuck up, man. Like, and not just because of the blood and the violence, although obviously, yes. But they just deal with like an array of themes, you know, not just adolescence and whatnot, but familial relationships, all, you know, stewed into the normal capes and fucking masks that we all love so much. And I was thinking about it. It's, you know, we love it when somebody comes in, whips up a universe, you know, that plays with tropes that we recognize from other places and stuff, but it's very rarely done as insanely well as it was done in Invincible. Like each time I'm like, that's, and it was just like a clever-a-thon, you know, and it felt like sitting in a comic book store, like having conversations with people trying to out clever them. Like every time a new hero was named, I was just like, these sons of bitches are so fucking clever. So that felt like adult storytelling. And yet, oddly enough, because the lead's voice is so innocent, you feel like you could sit there and watch it with a fucking 8-year-old. But if you did, they'd be fucking traumatized. Absolutely traumatized.
They would be me watching Raiders of the Lost Ark at 9 years old.
Remember that little
why did you make me do that?
The face melting boy from the beginning of the show would be brave compared to this kid.
Yeah,
it's a tough landing to stick. Season finale, and for all they know, series finale. But let's be honest, if billionaire Jeff Bezos didn't give him 2 more seasons, billionaire Robert Kirkman probably watched the next 9 seasons himself. So we were always more.
There you go.
But considering that they didn't know if they'd get another season, their ending sticks the landing. Even if somebody was like, your show is finished, it utterly fucking worked. You know, for the rest of my life, I'd be like, Jesus, I wonder if his dad ever came back. But it holds. The storytelling held across. Fantastic cast. I was so proud of our cast, and then I looked at their cast, and now I got cast envy and shit like that. Great performances across the board. Fantastic animation. Still will never get out of my mind the sequence where Omni-Man goes and destroys an entire other planet. It looked like something straight out of Heavy Metal, like, which is very near dear to my heart. The movie Heavy Metal from my childhood and stuff. So I loved everything up until the season finale. And, you know, the fact that they were able to stick the landing with the season finale, the fact that they went where they went, you know, not knowing the story, when they got to the end of the penultimate episode, I was like, oh, fuck, man, what happens now? They're going to battle. Like, I did not know that it was going to be that. I mean, it wasn't a battle. He just beat the fucking living shit out of his son all over the fucking world. Somebody referred to it as, like, online on Twitter, was like Invincible : Man of Steel ending before 1 hour long. Just that fight throughout Metropolis. The amount of bloodshed and lives lost, like, and not even just like, oh, that's badass, look how cool it is. Story-wise, you're just like, holy shit, look how fragile we all are. It's the one thing they rarely touch on when they make these superhero movies, is like, if one of these fuckers turns his, like, eye on us, the eye on Soren, what happens? And you reveal a sociopath fucking superhero who makes, you know, fucking Homelander look like Captain America by comparison. A dude who has no fucking love for humanity whatsoever, even though he has loved humanity with a wife and with a fucking kid. And even though we get to see, you know, him beat the shit, you know, and it's superhero beating another superhero, but that's father and son, and the boy is still a boy. He's still in high school and shit. The most punishing fucking blows come in the dialogue that he gives him about his mother. Like, that shit was fucking cold, when he was just like, you love mom. And he's like, I see her like a pet. Because instantly I'm like, so Viltrumites fuck their pets on that planet? Is that what they do with their pets? But
It's why they all have mustaches. That's what that means.
Just that. It was such a cold sentiment and whatnot. It was so wonderfully done. So epically made. And of course, just made one excited for the future. Now, did they announce a future already?
They announced season 2 and season 3 because they are not fucking around, and they realize that there is so much more story to tell, and there's an audience for it clearly.
That's a Rick and Morty deal where they're like, here, man, make a bunch. Go.
Yeah, just we know we want this. Like, let's not even fucking pussyfoot around. Just here's more. One of the things that I appreciated the most about it is that, you know, from a writerly perspective, there's a thing that we like to call in the business, the bomb under the table, right? It's where, you know, if you show the audience a bomb under the table, the audience, and you don't show the characters that bomb, the audience will apply and bring to it a sense of tension because they know that bomb is going to go off. And so then the question becomes, when do the other characters discover that the bomb is there, and can they defuse the bomb at all? And so the bomb under the table is Omni-Man, where you reveal to the audience at the end of the pilot that this dude killed all of the, you know, the Justice League for all intents and purposes. When will people find out? When will his family find out? And that's simmering under every episode this year. And then you slowly get into Debbie Grayson's investigation of it. You slowly get into how odd Omni-Man is behaving. And then you detonate that bomb. And it becomes this emotional freight train of just, hey, Mark, guess what? Your dad turns out secret supremacist. How do you deal with that? Like, how do you deal with the fact that suddenly your dad doesn't believe in even the right for humanity to exist?
No, and
right for all of your friends to exist.
He's also like, look, to show you how these people don't exist, I'm gonna hold your face and drive you through a fucking train. I ain't never seen that in my life. My wife and I, we watch a lot of TV together. Cloves kids, very strong clove cigarettes are.
Smells like ham in there.
Is very much so. We whenever we watch a thing and something happens, you know, because we both consumed a lot of media. Something happens we've never seen before. Like somebody will look at the other and just be like, I've never seen that before. And I have never seen that sequence before. You know what I'm saying? We've seen superheroes do stuff. We've seen superheroes go rogue. But the idea of like, let me show you this. And by holding his fucking indestructible or invincible kid, the titular kid, as people are just being split in two, even him just doing this is like taking their body parts off, is so horrifically original that fucking our guest tonight should be looked into. I know he's a family man, but somebody call the child services because, oh my God, we just saw the worst father in the world. The amazing thing is we got to see, what's his name, J.K. Simmons?
Yes.
Like essentially reenact the fucking drum movie in that whole episode. Like you thought he was tough on that kid in the fucking drumming movie. Jesus Christ. He's got that role now locked up for life. Hard ass teacher. Like he'll be the first person everyone thinks of.
The worst part of this for me is that the hero's name is Mark. And so for the entirety of this episode, it's like, what don't you understand, Mark? What's the matter with you, Mark? You're just a dummy.
That's what you hear every week on this show. Every time you're like, this sucks. I'm like, what don't you understand, Mark?
Yeah, I've decided that I'm just going to take that little loop of J.K. Simmons and Sandra Oh when he's playing baseball as a kid. It's like, go, Mark, go. You're doing great, buddy. Like, that's now going to be on my phone for when I'm having shitty days. Just like, go, Mark, you can do anything. Yeah, I can, J.K. Simmons.
We are lucky we breathe rarefied air, kids, because we get to sometimes blow the stuff we love so much. That we know some of the people that make it, so we get to blow them for real in real life. And nobody's worth blowing unless the whole world can watch and cuck on. So get ready, kids. Get your cucking seats right next to the bed to watch me and Mark go down very heavy and hard on our guest tonight. One of our favorite people who's ever been on the show. And he said he'd come, also fucking truth teller. Motherfucker said, like, I'll come back for the end of the season. That was my Robert Kirkman impression. Thank you. Yeah, well done. He did come back at the end of the season. Welcome back to the show. The richest man you'll ever fucking know, Robert Kirkman.
And I tell you, I am sick of hearing that.
In the
Well,
grocery store with the
honestly,
richest
like,
man we know.
It is. It's true, and I know movie stars, but whatever. Like you can't hide from it. You keep looking younger and younger too, Kirkman. That's also a little sus. That's what those rich people do. They inject that fucking blood from other people and shit. I hear about these things.
Look, man, I got a blood guy. Everybody's got a blood guy, right? I mean, come on.
I got my weed guy. I got my blood guy. I got my trainer. Kirkman, this
You got a
was
good blood guy. You don't need a trainer, Kevin.
good point. I know. Fucking that's what I've been confusing. Fuck Runyon Canyon. I need a blood guy. I was so happy when I, you know, it was also a no-brainer, but when the episode ended and your name was there, I was like, he better have fucking written his season finale. And boy, you wrote the shit out of it. Excellent fucking job. Excellent. Whole thing was fucking wonderful, man.
A lot of cutting and pasting from those old comic book scripts, man.
I mean, and honestly, like when we had Robert on the show the first time, I hadn't watched, Mark had watched the episodes and I hadn't watched the episodes. So when I saw the episodes, I talked about this on a past episode of Fat Man Beyond. Like I texted him and be like, what the fuck? And like, I was mid-texting about how wonderful the show was as like this family drama, you know, and this was before the final scene in the first episode. And then I was like, holy shit, I thought it was good then. So it only continued to rise. I'm so glad that I didn't know the source material. This is what people going into Marvel movies who've never read the comics feel like where I was dry. So I was like, I don't know this. I don't know this. I can't predict this. I'm very happy I didn't know the story, but that makes me a poor comic book fan. How do you reconcile those two things?
You know, I mean, I try to be as open to it as I can be. I would prefer that people read the comics. I think that there is I feel like there's an extra level of enjoyment that comes from knowing the comics because, you know, we're intensifying certain things, pulling things back, moving things up, moving things away in a way that if you are a comic book fan and you are familiar with the comics, it's still really enjoyable because you're like, oh, I thought it was going to do this and now it's doing this. And especially with our finale, the fight between Mark and Nolan is, you know, not quite as intense. And, you know, we've definitely plussed it up in a lot of really cool ways. But, you know, if you're not a comic book person and you just want to watch the show, that's fine too. I mean, I can live with it.
Okay. Where for those who don't know the comics as well, where was season 1? How far? I know you move things around, but was that like the first story arc or the first few story arcs of the original book?
It's really the first hardcover that collects the first 13 issues, covers the majority of season 1. The fight between Mark and Nolan, if you can call it a fight, happens in issue 13, which is it's like 12 and 13, which is at the end of that hardcover. But there's material like the, you know, sequence at Upstate University with the Reaniman and the trip to Mars, and the sequence, the whole episode about Titan and Machine Head. Those are from 3 later issues. And those were kind of moved up because we, you know, expanded the story and put some stuff in the middle. So, you know, that first volume gets you the majority of the first season, but there's other stuff that's in there. And there's also some stuff in that first volume that didn't make it into the show. So it's, you know, it's different here and there.
Where can they get that volume? Like, because you know you've made a bunch of new fans, and then there are a bunch of people who are like, now I want to read the fucking book. So should be looking for, like, was it an omnibus of some sort or a hardcover?
There are 3 different formats if you'd like to enjoy Invincible. There's the trade paperback collections that are shorter, smaller, a little bit more affordable. There's the deluxe hardcover ultimate collections that collect about a year's worth of stories. And then there are the massive Invincible omnibuses, of which there are 3. If you want to go into those different 3 formats, all you need to do is start with volume 1 and make sure all the books match as you move through them. They're available in fine comic shops everywhere, which you can find at comicshoplocator.com. We'll help you find a comic shop in your area that you can go and grab those books at. If there's no comic shop in your area, you can hit a bookstore like Barnes & Noble. They're probably around, or you can go to amazon.com while you're watching the show on Amazon and buy everything from Amazon because Amazon now owns us.
That's how you get a season 2 and 3, kids, right there. Oh my God.
If you're a true fan, you'll buy every version of it. I mean, let's be honest. Like, you'll buy the soft cover and the hardcover and the omnibus because you got to know.
They all look nice on a shelf.
Let me ask you this, like, because you, Kirkman's like obviously a hardcore comic book guy. Not only does he have, of course, Invincible, and for those of you who just woke up, also The Walking Dead. But he's not just like, oh, I made these comics and now I make them into shows. Like, Kirkman's 100% in comics. It's in his fucking blood and stuff like that. So I want to ask you this question. Do you pay attention to the aftermarket on your books, like wall books, and what your books grow up to be worth?
I mean, I am very plugged into the comics community. So when
so much so that you were just so have you watched, has Invincible over the airing of the show gone up as a wall book?
Yeah. No, I mean, you hear things. I don't know. I think a CGC 9.8 Invincible #1 will set you back, I think, $2,500 at this point, which is more than it was before the show launched. So that's that's neat.
And
the coolest thing about it, I'll tell an anecdote. Walking Dead blew up in the aftermarket when the show took off, and I had a guy come up to me at a convention, and he was like, "I just want to show you my laptop." And I was like, okay. And so he opens his bag and he pulls out a nice Mac Air book. I don't know what they're called. Anyway, big silver laptop, just like mine. Don't know what they're called. And he says, I was able to buy this because I bought Walking Dead #1 on the shelf for $3. And then when it blew up, I sold it and I bought this laptop. I don't know how you feel about that. I just thought it was cool. I wanted to tell you. And I was like, I think that's the greatest thing ever. If you can buy my dumb comic book and then flip it and turn it into a laptop like a few years later, like that's amazing. Like that makes me so happy. Hearing stuff like that, I think is great.
He turned a comic book into a laptop. That dude's like techno Jesus.
I think you guys know it's like it's kind of like the fulfillment of your childhood dreams. When you're collecting comics and you're like going through the books and you're like, oh, I think this one's going to be worth like $50 one day, and this one might be worth $200 one day, and I'll be able to turn this into a car or whatever. When you're like 10, 12 years old, and you're just kind of dreaming about the possibilities. It's cool to be a part of that and have it actually kind of happening to some people.
As the guy who with the laptop, who turned his comic into a laptop.
I took his laptop, by the way. It's mine.
He's like, look, I believe it's right, or I own that. Kirkman's being very, very modest. That boy was Steve Jobs, kids. And then after that, Steve Jobs made a little company called ColecoVision. There's the computer history right there. What has been the most satisfying aspect, other, of course, than them being like, we're backing up a money dump truck to your house for 2 more seasons? What has been the most satisfying aspect of the show now being seen by everybody? You were trending yesterday. Omni was trending, and I was like, Omni Magazine, it's back. And of course, it was Omni Man. It was a bunch of people talking about the epic fucking ass kicking, father on son ass kicking throughout the entire season finale.
I mean, the popularity is crazy. I can't, it's hard to really pinpoint, one aspect of it. I mean, it's great to know that the story is being appreciated by people and being enjoyed by people. Walking Dead was a hit very early on in the comic book space, well before the television show ever happened. Invincible, on the other hand, which debuted before Walking Dead, struggled quite a bit, especially in the first year.
Did Invincible even before The Walking Dead? That's in comics?
By 6 months. Wow. They kind of hit 6 months apart.
Also, that just says to me, look, what kind of prolific motherfucker are you that you got 2 books going that close to each other? And that's early in your career, correct?
I was so broke, Kevin.
Is that what it was? You were just like, I got to make as many books as possible.
Yeah, I was going to lose my house.
That's right. We talked about this. I do know.
Yeah. But
crazy though, that too. That's like, I'm not to fucking wax your pole, but like that's Stan Lee country, where some people are happy where they're like, I came up with this one character and then fucking nothing for the rest of my life. But you came up with now 2 things within that first debuted in popular culture within 6 months of one another that have now gone on to take different shapes that have gone far beyond the original audience, man, in that very Stan Lee kind of way. Well done.
Oh, thank you. So I will now forever be haunted by the idea that I will never top my 23-year-old self, no
You
matter how
can't,
hard I
but you
try.
don't have to. Dry your eyes on all that fucking money, Kirkman. Nobody feels sorry for a rich man. 1%er. Mark, ask him your questions.
I,
Mark's here.
hey, gang, how's it going?
Hey.
Why? I mean, the thing that struck me, and I think it struck most viewers, is precisely how brutal it is. And why, for you, is the violence and the gore so important? Like, why does it need to be as visceral as it is?
I mean, for me, the I'd Still Have You, Dad doesn't have the punch that it has if you haven't seen all of the violence up until that point. The notion that he is still like longing for his father at that point, I think is a real gut punch. It shows, I mean, how naive he is, but also how human he is. Like this is still his father to him. And like building to that moment, the violence, which, look, you can argue it's a little over the top. I've watched the episode again recently in preparation for interviews that I'm doing, and I was like, that's a bit much, went a little far here and there. Maybe 4 train cars would have been enough. Did you need 5 or 6 or whatever it was? It's just it builds the stakes and it helps the drama. I think that one thing helps the other thing and really makes the story kind of come together.
Yeah, I remember listening to an interview with Paul Verhoeven talking about RoboCop, and he was describing the reason why when they ultimately eviscerated Murphy, it's like, why did it need to be as awful as it was? And he says, well, you need to feel for him, and you've only known him for 10 minutes. And so we needed to make his execution as awful as humanly possible so that we squeeze the pathos out of you that you couldn't automatically bring to it. I'm always interested in, because I don't have a knee-jerk reaction to it, but it's why a storyteller does a thing. Like, that's a choice that you made, and it's really interesting to hear the reasoning behind that choice. How big did you have a writer's room on Invincible?
Yes. Yeah, it was 5 of us, I think. It was a while ago.
What did that room teach you about the story that you didn't already know? Like, what did you guys discover that was a thing that you hadn't thought of before?
God damn it, man, with the smart questions. I'm not.
Yeah, come back to me. I'll keep calling you a billionaire and say dumb shit. I'm easy.
I don't know. I mean, it's I love being in writers' rooms just because comic books, you're always collaborating with artists, but for the most part, you're kind of coming up with story on your own, which is a lot of fun and it is its own rewarding thing. And I very much enjoy it. And I don't know, sometimes prefer it. But when you get into a writer's room and you're surrounded by people that are I'm surrounded by people that are smarter than me in almost any room I go into. And so it's always
my friend, here you're safe.
Yeah. The hat helps, but were you intending to do this with this story? And I'm just like, huh? I was trying to get the book out on time. Like that in the story. Yeah, let's push that. Like, let's do that. And so, I working with, Christine Lavoff and Chris Black and Ryan Ridley and Simon Rasiopa, who are all in the room. I mean, these guys have done, amazing stuff. Curtis Gwynn, see, I almost forgot somebody. Curtis Gwynn's on Stranger Things. Chris Black worked with me on Outcast. Simon's done a lot of amazing stuff. He worked on that Dark Crystal show for Netflix. Christine's doing like a fuck ton of movies right now. And Ryan Ridley, worked on Rick and Morty and has done a bunch of stuff that, he's doing this Renfield movie with me. So
What's
he's got
a Renfield movie.
Huh?
What is the Renfield movie?
We're doing this.
Listen, don't just pop off like he's doing a Renfield movie with me. Anyway, I'm gonna put the brakes on, pull the fucking cord on the bus. What is it?
Sorry, no, we're doing this cool movie for Universal that's like a focus on Renfield, where it's a story about him being Dracula's henchman and how shitty a job that is. And so it's kind of it's a fun, extremely violent comedy because I've got a crutch and it's violence.
So wait, you're writing it with somebody?
I wrote a treatment, and then Ryan Ridley has written the script, which is brilliant. And we've got Chris McKay, who's come on to direct it, and we're in development right now.
Fucking hey, that sounds dope.
Yeah.
Can I ask you? You mentioned before that you borrowed some shit from outside the first volume of Invincible you put out, but you also left some shit out. What'd you leave out and why?
There's a plot in the first 4 or 5 issues that's about Mark's science teacher who has started, he's like gone crazy because his kid was killed by some I don't even remember, but I think his kid was murdered by like some very bad students or something. And so he hates students. And so he's come to this school and is teaching here to, get his revenge on the kind of kids that killed his son. And so he starts turning jocks into human bombs. He starts like disassembling their bodies and turning them into, so all these different things start blowing up. And Mark and Adam Eve kind of team up to solve these, this mystery of these kids that are they're disappearing. And then they find out that these explosions that are happening are tied to it. And then they find out that their teacher is one of the ones is the guy that's doing it. It's kind of a Scooby-Doo plot, if I can be honest.
I mean, so do you still also do the storyline going to the college and the jocks and the popular kids are getting turned into cyborgs?
Is it the jocks and the popular kids that are doing that? I swear that's not a thing. I have friends that are jocks, but
the dude that they grabbed seemed kind of, well, it was Justin Roiland, who seemed kind of like douchey, kind of bougie.
Yeah,
but I mean, was that storyline in the original comic?
Yeah.
So you had both of those in the original volume, like kids blowing up and then kids at colleges being turned into cyborgs?
Am I hearing criticism?
I'm just saying it's a good cut. You're about to hear praise. I think it's smart that you cut it out, man, because
it's somewhat
a term of art in our business. A hat on a fucking hat, my friend.
It's a truck full of bananas.
In the comic books, those storylines are much further apart, and turning people into cyborg Frankenstein monsters is a lot different than turning kids into human bombs, Kevin.
He's true. He's splitting hairs, kids, but he's absolutely right about that.
Were we to adapt those into the first season, they probably would have been too close together, and people would have seen the same similarities that you're seeing, misguided as you are.
Let me ask you this. If they came to you and said, we want seasons 2 through 5, but we don't want them animated, we want live action, would you have gone for it?
No.
Is that right? What?
You can't go from one season of animation to, are my hands getting too close? Sorry.
No, I'm trying to slap you through the fucking camera. What would you say no to that for?
Are you proposing transition the show from being animated to live action between season?
I'm Jeff Bezos, and they just let me know by a fax that was made of human flesh that I have reached.
You don't talk about this skin facts. Okay.
sorry.
Those are just messengers, Kevin. I'm just saying.
I have reached $1 trillion status.
Hold on, my blood guy's bringing me a skin fax.
Once I hit $1 trillion status, I'm like, you know what? Remember he liked that sci-fi show, The Expanse?
The Expanse.
Yes. So he was like, hey, I'm the guy that bought The Expanse and made it keep going. I love Invincible. But cartoons, that's for kids. I want to see a live action one, and I want season 2 live action. And I'm not even like, here's a good budget. Like, I'll pay double as long as when season 2 launches, it's live action. Would you have done it?
If the option was season 2 live action or no season 2 at all, I'd have been like, fuck yes, Jeff, let's do it. So sure. I mean, I have no integrity when it gets down to it.
Why would that need integrity? It's like telling the story either way, man. It's like cartoon or live action. But let me ask you this then, part B to that question. If you're going to do live action Invincible, that's season 2, not like a brand new one that starts like in the movie theaters where you get to reintroduce everybody to the concept. You're doing season 2, but you're doing it live action. Same cast?
I think it could work. I mean, it's a bit of a stretch for Stephen Young to play a 17-year-old. But
I don't know. I don't know. He looks young. He looks young. I'll tell
He's
you
got
what.
that good blood guy to get his
He looks
steps.
young to
Big
us.
blood guy on him.
we're all old.
It's true. J.K. Simmons, though, I saw him one time get jacked, man. He can totally play Omni-Man.
I feel like he is always jacked because he would come to recording sessions on his.
Oddly enough, it was like, I remember when he was first playing Commissioner Gordon, and they showed him like working out and jacked him like for Commissioner Gordon. But yeah, he got real fucking big, man. He could play Omni-Man.
Think about all of the scenes of him just knocking the shit out of people that were cut out of the Snyder cut.
Yes. All right, wait, another dumb question. The year is 1986.
Okay.
Cast the Invincible movie.
Oh, I can't do this.
Yes, you can. What the fuck? You just come up with very creative storylines, except for the human bomb and Frankenstein thing. Very close.
Obviously, you're going to go Tom Selleck for Omni-Man because everybody just casts the mustache.
Mm-hmm.
We all know Steve Guttenberg would do a better job, but, you know, we don't know what he looks like with a mustache, so we're just going to go with the safe bet.
That is fucking brilliant. If you took Gutenberg and took him dark from Gut to bad, brilliant.
Telling you, man, that's the kind of range that you need. Is Madeline Stowe around in 1986? No. Sorry, Debbie's Asian. We need somebody for Asian Debbie. I don't know, man. 86.
What's Tia Carrere doing?
There we go.
That's Wayne's World. That puts her in 90 something.
Yeah, you know, she's younger. It's fine. We're discovering her.
All right. Who plays what's his name? The fucking scar on his face. Balding guy.
Oh, Cecil. Gosh. Who are we looking at here? Paul Newman?
Wow. Look at you. So fucking full of yourself. You think you're getting Paul Newman in the 80s?
In the cast on this show? I mean, I'm pretty sure we could have gotten Paul Newman in 1986. I mean, look, I don't mean to brag or anything.
And there it is, kids. There's the real Robert Kirkman right there. The mask.
John Hamm played a character named Steve, for God's sakes. Come on.
Do you feel the need to escalate?
I just want to point out that I took a drink out of my water bottle, and when I put my water bottle down, water splashed into my eye. I don't know if that's showing up on camera.
We're not seeing it, but he's got a drinking problem. You heard it here first.
Anytime Paul Newman is mentioned, I spontaneously start crying, and I'm desperately trying to cover that up.
Will you feel the need to escalate the violence, or is it like, this ain't critical, I fucking love it, but is there a thing like, if next season is less violent than this season, like, will people be like, what the fuck, man, what happened? Does one have to escalate? I don't know. That's a question. It's a serious question.
Evan, you poor, terrible comic book fan. If you had only read the comic books.
Does it get worse?
So Invincible runs for 144 issues, and the only way you can make that story compelling over that run is by escalating everything. So the scope, the scale, the violence, the drama, the stakes, everything gets bigger as we go. And so, yeah, it's going to get crazier every season. And
can I ask you something, not as the guy doing the TV show, but as the guy who did the comic book? What happens? What happened in the book?
Dude, the internet's right there.
I know, but this guy's right here.
Look, I don't want to spoil things for people, but I will say that Alan the Alien mentioning the Coalition of Planets in the finale episode is a huge deal. And there's still going to be a lot of Earth action and various different, big, dramatic, crazy things that happen on Earth. But the story does go like off planet. And so eventually we have like massive space battles. We have planets exploding. There's a fight that takes place on the surface of the sun. Like there's absolutely insane, crazy spectacle things that continue to happen throughout the run of the series that, as we bring them to the animated space, I'm very excited about the future of Invincible. We got some cool shit coming.
Listen to those inventive storylines. And yet when I'm like, cast this movie in the 80s, you're like, I can't do that. I only made people fight on the surface of the sun. I
You're
only
making
so
list
much
actors from
imagination.
1986. You're like, come on, man. It's Harrison Ford for everyone. There we go. Great. Done.
Harrison Ford would be a great dad. I'm telling you, Steve Gutenberg's an inspired choice because he is like, particularly then, just lovable, and you would never see that turn coming. With J.K. Simmons, even not knowing the story, I always felt there was something in the air because I'm like, this motherfucker can't teach drums without slapping a kid around. Something's wrong. So, you know, I'm not saying I saw it coming, but like there was an air. There's always an air of danger to that guy. Sure. Steve Gutenberg, though, everyone's safe at home in their beds, tucked in, going to sleep when the dad turns and he fucking pushes his son's face. And in 1986, that's probably what, Chris Makepeace? I don't know.
As who?
I'm pulling names from my childhood.
Pushing Brandon Lee, man. Brandon Lee is playing Mark Racing.
I like that.
That's a great. So he's pushing Brandon Lee through a fucking subway car. Steve Gutenberg pushing Brandon Lee through 8 subway cars. Probably can only afford 3 in 1980 something.
It's all one. It looks great.
It's just a ride of the Universal lot, and you're just doing that again.
That's true. And they turn it into a ride, Mark. Your tram goes through a car that separates, and there's all this blood and sinew, and
But it's just like a car wash. So all of those like the foamy things are just spinning around you as you push through.
It's just those
question
that do this. They're just red.
This is a question that, like, as a writer, like I've been asked, not often, but over the course of my life, like, where do you get your ideas? Where you wrote this around the same time you were writing The Walking Dead? Were you writing them side by side?
Yeah, pretty much.
How awesome creatively. They're 2 completely different fucking stories. Like, it must have been very satisfying to be like, all right, I'm writing this and I'm writing this. Like, as soon as one's done, you get to switch to another story. But you were under the gun. It was more about working. It wasn't so much, but were you enjoying yourself when you were writing? What becomes seminal works that would define genre and like you'd revisit throughout your life?
I mean, I just, like I wouldn't do it if I wasn't enjoying it. I mean, it's a lot of fun. And also, working with comic book artists is like the great joy of my life. Like I write dumb shit down on text and then I send it out to people and they turn it into amazing art. And it's like every day when that stuff comes in, it's like, oh, I have to write more of this to, get more of this stuff back. But, writing Invincible and Walking Dead at the same time was a lot of fun because, I would get kind of like bogged down in the Walking Dead world and like it's very bleak and dramatic and crazy and dark, and then Invincible has its darkness and it's very sad, violent stuff because, like I say, I guess I only have 1 speed, but there's an optimism to it and it's fun and it's superheroes. And I like to say that I try to strive to always be writing stories where at any point, if the scene is boring, I can have somebody bust through a wall and punch somebody. And Invincible is very much that. Like you can do that with superhero comics. You can have people having a conversation in a coffee shop and then be like, well, this scene doesn't really have a button on it. I know a guy with a brick for a head breaks through the wall and punches someone. Let's see where that goes. It's a lot of fun to be freewheeling like that. And so being able to bounce between those 2 projects, I guess really helped both projects kind of keep going because I never got tired of either one of them.
I just want to say I admire your restraint, and I guess the restraint of Amazon, for not scheduling the release of the finale on Father's Day weekend. Which kind of would have been amazing, but also very on the nose.
I think you're doing a good job of pointing out our deficiencies in our marketing plan with a compliment.
It would have scarred lots and lots of families.
How soon can we expect season 2? Isn't it the worst thing about our business is that when you spend years making a thing and this moment it's done, instead of people being like, take a year off, you deserve it, they're like, when's the next one? But you started a story, you can't just fucking walk away and not finish telling it. When
we did when we started releasing the books in compendium form, the compendiums have 48 issues in them. That's why they're like such massive books. And especially with Walking Dead, Compendium 1 comes out and everyone's like, so where's Compendium 2? And I'm like, 4 years. It collects 4 years worth of books. So in 4 years, when we have those books done, we will release another one. And so I had 4 years of people going, when are we getting Compendium 2? What's taking so long? I don't understand. Why isn't this out? What's happening? And then Compendium 2 comes out and I'm like, finally, it's over. And the day after Compendium 2 comes out, where's Compendium 3? When's that coming? And it was 4 years of that. That's why I ended The Walking Dead. So that is to say it will be far fewer than 4 years for Invincible season 2.
That's clickbait if I ever seen it, kids. That's going to wind up on comicbook.com under Robert Kirkman announces season 2 debut under 4 years.
Guarantee less than 4 years. That's all I can say with certainty right now.
Time of your life, kid, as they said in Risky Business. You happy?
I mean, sure, of course. What do you mean? That's a weird question to ask at the tail end of a pandemic. What we hope is the tail end of a pandemic.
Yeah, really.
I've been spending a year.
As the guy who created The Walking Dead, for you to predict the tail end of the pandemic you're like, after Fauci, you're like the guy that the world turns to about fucking, pandemics, dude. You predicted this with your fucking comic book and your TV show. A world that we now live in, the world of The Walking Dead.
I got so much wrong.
Yeah, yours was way fucking bitier than the one we wound up in.
I mean, really, only one thing wrong is the zombies. Everything else pretty much holds.
What would have been more accurate is if Walking Dead had been 193 issues of people sitting on a couch watching television.
Yes. Going, when's this going to be over? And then a bunch of fighting about whether or not they should wear masks.
DoorDash.
Yes. Could have had a great spinoff there. The Walking Dead, Postmates. Those are the only fuckers dealing with The Walking Dead. People delivering the food, man.
I feel bad every day for those.
They are The Walking Dead to my front door.
Like, and we're not dead, but we're glad you're fucking locked in. It's a way better world. That's why we're not, creators of The Walking Dead. That's why we're not as rich and popular and beloved as the great Robert Kirkman. Once again.
Wait, are you winding down? Because I got one more thing I got to add here.
Give it. I want it all. Yeah, go ahead.
I got a bone to pick with you, Mark.
Yes, sir.
I was in the, is it called a green room when I was watching you guys talk before I came on?
Mm-hmm.
You said that The Raid doesn't have a particularly good script. Like, what do you want from a script? Does
oh shit! Now you sound like everyone in the fucking comments section. They're like, "What do you want from a script, Bernardin?"
I will say The Raid.
Mad Max Fury Road have a bad script. Like, a script is not just dialogue. The fact that a movie is entertaining from beginning to end is partly due to a script. The Raid has a spectacular script. It's very simple. You got to go here. You got to get up here. You got to fight along the way. Amazing script.
It is not a complex script. I perhaps misspoke. Yes, there's not a lot going on in that script, but it doesn't require much to be going on in that script, because again, what I want out of that movie is not fucking, Lumet, and that's totally fine.
What you just saw, kids, was a member of the proletariat getting attacked by a fucking 1%er coming down like an anvil on him because he knows he's got privilege and shit like that.
No, there's a criticism well received.
I also want to use my powers for good and say that For All Mankind is absolutely spectacular. Like I have to echo Mark's sentiments.
What else you watching?
What else am I watching? I watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Really enjoyed that. Let's see. I'm anxiously awaiting the return of Showtime's Billions. I think that's the main thing I'm watching right now is the television waiting for Billions to come back, because for whatever reason, I love that show. Mm-hmm. Just watch Mythic Quest. That's really good. I don't know. I love The Boys if we're talking about shows. But
Mayor of Easttown on HBO. You try that yet?
What was that?
Mayor of Easttown with Kate Winslet.
Oh, yes. That's one of the coveted wife shows, as I like to call them, where it's actually a show that my wife enjoys. And so we get to watch that together.
Watch it together.
Yeah. It's always the worst when you start a show and on episode 2, your wife looks over and goes, "You get one of these?" She goes, "You're on your own with this one." And you're like, damn it, I'm never going to get around to finishing this show.
I know. Oh my God. I know that feeling. Generally, what I do is every once in a while, I'll start watching something by myself and pause at about 20 minutes in to be like, oh, this is something we can watch together. And then there's shit that I hold on to because I'm like, oh, I know she's going to watch this. And we still haven't gotten around to it. For example, I've been waiting to watch Nomadland with her, and it won an Oscar. And I'm still like, don't you think it's time we watch Nomadland? She's like, yeah. And I was like, well, if you're not gonna, I got to watch it. Like, I got to be able to speak about this movie. And she's like, well, you can't watch it without me. I was like, okay, so we got to commit to watching it. And then when we were just about to commit to watch it, she's like, I don't know, are we really in the mood for Nomadland? And, you know, and
Nomadland will get you in the mood. No matter what mood you're in, you will be in a Nomadland mood about 20 minutes into Nomadland. So don't worry about the mood you're in.
I gotta get in a truck and drive.
I think it's like, oddly enough, like, you know, I was like, all right, like not last night, the night before, I was like, Nomadland. And she was like, or, you know, it's been a long time since we've seen The Hunt for Red October. I'm like, what? Like, what did I marry your father? Like, what the fuck? Where'd this come from? So I think it's tonight is going to be Nomadland night. Saturday night, man. That's what every young couple in Hollywood wants to do. Get fucking amyl nitrate poppers and watch Nomadland. That's what we're going to do. Just like Boogie Nights, kids.
Yeah.
Kirkman, you are a thing of joy forever, an absolute treasure. And it's always fucking good to see you win, man. But you've always earned it as well. This is excellent, just fantastic. And my God, you announced like your arrival with authority. Like the show, everybody seems to know it right now. Like you said, its popularity is fucking through the roof, man. And that's incredibly satisfying on so many levels, not just because I'm like, I know him, he's a good guy and shit. But also, like, you love when cream rises to the fucking top, man. Like Seth and Evan, like early on, you know, with Point Grey or whatever the fuck, they just got this thing in their heads where they're like, there's a bunch of cool shit that we just want other people to see. And so that's kind of what they've been doing. Other than the movies they make, they just help get cool shit made. And their names are on this, but it's not a Point Grey thing, or what is it?
It's not a Point Grey thing. I mean, their involvement is tied to their involvement in the movies.
In the movie.
So yeah.
Seeing
Did I say movies, plural? That was a whoops.
Yeah, what's that? Hey, comicbook.com. That sure sounds like a fucking news-worthy item to me.
He said plural.
It was literally just a slip of the tongue, but I had to add that in just to see if people would.
So they're doing the live action version.
Yeah. We're working with them on that. And then so they came on to, as producers on this, and then we got Seth to do the voice of Alan the Alien, and so they're, you know, kind of in the universe and working with us on both things.
All I can wish for the live action guys is good luck.
Yeah, how the fuck do you tell that story like this?
Well, you know, maybe we'll tell a different story.
Oh. Is it a story that has lots of mustaches in it?
It's about this high school teacher that.
There was a lot of the chat was alive. Comment section, at least on the YouTube page, was alive with tons of suggestions for our 80s version of Invincible. And they said we were all idiots for ignoring the obvious mustache, Burt Reynolds.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That was pretty good. A lot of people said, what's his fuck? Rob Lowe, a young Rob Lowe for Invincible, but that doesn't quite work.
I mean, I'm surprised nobody thought of Sam Elliott.
Was there any Sam Elliott? Adam Eve. I'm on board with that.
Who's Adam
He's
Eve?
so pretty.
Rob Lowe.
Totally Adam Eve. What are you going to do for the rest of the night, Robert?
I have no idea. I don't know. Whatever my wife tells me, I guess. That's kind of how it happens here in the Kirkman household. I enter a room and I go, so what are we doing?
Do you Scrooge McDuck in the giant pile of money on Saturdays or Sundays? Like, when does that happen?
What day of the week do you guys swim in your money pool? You fucking rich man. You fucking dilettante.
Kevin, at my level, there is no days of the week.
There's payday and every other day, and every day is payday.
Please say hello to fucking Gates and Tim Cook and who are the other famous fucking
Musk.
Tesla.
The sweet musk of rich.
You rock, man. Congratulations on an epic first season. Cannot wait to watch season 2 and 3. So much so that I may fucking go wade into those books.
Oh, please do.
You know, there's like 3 ways you can read them.
Yeah.
I heard. But honestly,
I'll be able to send you guys some if you're interested.
I'm happy to buy. I like supporting the local comic book shop, the LCS, and it was very nice of you too. When you talked about where to get the books, he wasn't like, go to my website. He sent you right to the LCS, kids, right to the local comic shop. So he's as much as he likes to write about heroes, he's a fucking hero for the field itself, man. We tease him a lot because we got him on the spot. Welcome back. Welcome back.
May I never return.
Welcome back. You'll be back, motherfucker. As soon as you when what's the next thing you got in the hopper other than this?
I don't know.
Would it be that Renfield thing? Renfield, if it comes together, Renfield, if you get you're all together and shit, is that coming up soon?
No, that'll be some time.
Wow.
We'll see. Yeah. But no, I mean, Walking Dead season 11. What is that? July? Does anyone else know? That comes out in July.
All right, that gives you a good reason to come back.
Sure.
But
Final season.
You can all. What is the 10th? This 10th and final, right?
11th and final.
11th and final. Fucking great. So we'll have you on for the start of the 11th and final season of Walking Dead. He will be sitting on a Barker lounger made of $1,000 bills, which he will then burn after the first episode.
He'll still be wearing a T-shirt from Target, sitting on possibly a not great desk chair.
It is a Target T-shirt.
Sure.
You're out of your fucking mind. It's Armani made to look like Target.
Well, you see there's like a Fruit of the Loom label or something in there. Come on, man.
Right. Look at that shaved back. He's a rich man. No hair on his back. Only the rich have no hair on their back, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Robert Kirkman, man. He's everybody's hero. He's my
favorite 15-minute goodbye on anything I've ever done.
Thank you, sir.
He rocks. When I drop dead one day, Mark, you have your heir apparent host right there, co-host.
I will have him eulogize you with great verve. And then not invite him on the show because I don't want to be outclassed like that.
No, you get him on the show, man. For heaven's sakes, you become a producer. Put some production value in this fucker. On Zoom, we shooting on sets and shit. You'll do set pieces where like you guys fucking split human beings in half. It's so funny. Stuff that he does could be construed as like grim, like fucking with zombies and with like bloody superhero stuff. But he's always so bright and sunshine. He's such a good guy. He's so funny too. He's so fucking low key funny.
I look forward to his reams of notes on human skin.
I thought it was adorable when he was like, "You're fucking wrong," or not wrong, but whenever he was just like, "Hey man, that does have a good script."
The Raid has a great script. I'm like, yeah, it's 8 pages long, but it's great.
He makes a wonderful point.
He does.
What a great show. What a great guy. All right, we got some news probably, but before we do that, I believe we have a secondary sponsor. Do we do that after the news or before the news?
We can do it whenever you want, baby. They're not going to be mad.
Let's do it after the news, and then we'll do it before the Q&A and stuff.
Yeah.
We're arriving up on, it looks like hour 3 of our show. Hour 4, I don't know. We've been on there so very long.
Bamf.
Ooh.
Hey, look who it is. It's Bamf Boy. Give it up for JC. We raise a glass to JC.
I gotta jump in here because you have something coming up in Orlando that you need to talk about.
Oh my God, thank you. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is a good time for an advertisement. Do you live in Orlando? Are you in the Orlando area, for heaven's sakes? Come out and see me, man. I'm gonna be at the Dr. Phillips Center for Performing Arts. I just gotta make sure what the name is, kids. It's next week. It's happening on May
8th.
That's right. May 8th, I'm going to be at the Dr. Phillips Center for Performing Arts in Orlando. And it's a big outdoor show, so you don't have to worry about being indoors. They got separate little seating pods. And they bring you your food and drinks and stuff.
That sounds like
Supposed to be
fun.
very lovely. Yeah, sounds great. Night before, I'm doing a show in Delray Beach, and then that's I guess the 7th, and then on the 8th. What was 8th or 9th, JC? I'm sorry, I forget.
The Dr. Phillips show is the 8th.
The 8th. So then on the 7th, I'll be in Delray Beach as well. But come on out, kids, if you're in Florida, for heaven's sakes. And we'll talk. I'm gonna fucking A the fuck out of your goddamn cues.
Do it.
Any cues you got, man.
A it right in the queue.
I'll answer them hard, man. For example, if you were like, what do you smoke on that show every once in a while? I'll tell you, and I'll pull out my pack of cloves and say, oh, I smoke clove cigarettes.
The finest clothes the clothes can buy.
And because of that, I am chill. We got news, Mark?
We have some news, my friend.
Hey, man, the news never stops, kids. Even during a quarantine, we had fucking news. And you got a guy who has got a nose for news. And he's out of the news business now, but the news never stops. And, once a newsman, always a newsman, as they say. You can take the man out of news, but you can't take the news out of the man. And that means Mr. Marc Bernardin is ready to bring us this week's news on Fat Man Beyond. Mark, what is the news?
The news begins with 2 Green Lantern. Oh, hey. Hey, buddy.
Shaggy's
What's up?
news. Shaggy's all in for the news.
Shaggy's all in for the news. We have
There's
2
some
Green
Green
Lantern
He's
pieces.
like, I'm a huge Green Lantern fan. There better be some John Stewart news.
And there is. But first, there's Guy Gardner news.
I got to put the dog down so I can act surprised.
Okay. Guy Gardner news. Yes. Finn Wittrock from American Horror Story has been cast as Guy Gardner in HBO Max's upcoming series, The Green Lantern Corps. That is not the official name. I don't have a photo. What am I doing with a photo of Finn Wittrock? That'd be weird.
It's an excellent point. That would be strange if you're like, I do just happen to have a
Hold
photo.
up. In my wallet, right next to my condoms.
I'm going to look him up. What is it? Finn what?
Wittrock. Wittrock.
There are 2 fucking Finns in this business now? Wolfhard
Finn-
and Whitrock, and they're both FWs?
I mean, it feels like they should be a private detective firm. Wittrock and
This
Wolfhard.
guy's a pretty fucking man.
He's a pretty fucking man.
He's fucking Guy Gardner?
The hulking mass of masculinity.
He looks more
Embodiment of-
like a Hal Jordan to me.
Yeah, no, he's they're going full Guy Gardner.
Was this the guy, and you say he's an American Horror Story, but I don't know him from that. Was he also in The Big Short by any chance? He was. That's what I know him from, The Big Short. He was one of the 2 younger dudes in The Big Short who teamed up with Brad Pitt. He's a good actor. He's playing Guy Gardner?
Yep.
So they're serious about this Green Lantern show, so much so that they even got Guy Gardner in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's Green Lantern, which I guess is what they're calling it, not Green Lantern Corps, sort of reinvents a classic DC property through a story spanning decades and galaxies, beginning on Earth in 1941 with the very versed Green Lantern, secretly gay FBI agent Alan Scott, and 1984 with cocky alpha male Guy Gardner and half-alien breed Jarda. They'll be joined by a multitude of other lanterns, from comic book favorites to never-before-seen heroes.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
I'm in.
So they're leaning hard. Written by Berlanti, of the Greg Berlantis, Mark Guggenheim and Seth Grahame-Smith.
Seth Grahame-Smith wrote the Batman Lego movie, didn't he?
Yes, he did, along with Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter and Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
And he written a Flash movie at one point, I believe. That didn't wind up getting made, if I remember correctly. I think he was attached to direct it or something.
I think he was for a bit, and then Rick Famuyiwa came on. It might have been directing that script, or might have been doing a whole new script, but neither version happened. And now we are in a completely different iteration of the Flash. But Seth seems to have landed on his feet in outer space and Earth for the Corps. But that is not the only Green Lantern news this week, Kevin.
Oh, there's more, is there?
There's more. Zack Snyder on his Vero account page.
Yeah, this actually I thought was the big Green Lantern news. Do we have a photo of it? Hey, Banff boy, you around? Oh, look at this. Pick photos up. Go ahead and describe it.
Yeah, in his driveway studio, Zack Snyder shot, apparently for the Snyder Cut, a scene with Jon Stewart's Green Lantern, and somehow found a way to not include it in the 4.5 hour version of Justice League. But it's cool that they shot it. It's cool that it exists somewhere, maybe at some point.
If I remember correctly, he had a fight with them at the end because they wouldn't let him include the character because of the Green Lantern TV series. And this could be like, you know, fucking what do they call that when you tell a story that's not
true,
but there's like a biblical term, apocryphal. This could be an apocryphal story, but if I remember correctly, he wasn't allowed to use Green Lantern in the Snyder Cut because they were like, we have John Stewart Green Lantern debuting in the Green Lantern series, if I remember.
You know, which may happen, although from all reports, the Green Lantern TV series is not featuring Jon Stewart, because I think, ironically, they want him for movies. So, or maybe they're building towards Jon Stewart. It's unclear where Jon Stewart is, both the Daily Show version and the Black Superhero version.
One of them is going to be on Apple TV.
Yes, I hope it's the Black Superhero version.
Let's go back to just address the photo real quick, because definitely in chat, some people are like, are you kidding me? Like, are they really shooting in a driveway? Yeah, kids, like you can shoot green screen anywhere. You don't need to be on a sound stage and stuff. For example, we have a sequence in a forthcoming movie that we're going to do where not everyone will be able to be there for one scene, but the background of the scene would never change anyway. So we have the ability to just shoot people anywhere in the world against a green screen and then put them into the movie, even though they weren't there when we shot the flick. This is very simple technology. I think most people assume that like with big budget movie making, there's always like more and big and buildings, but you can pull this shit off, as you see, even with somebody who makes gigantic movies like Zack Snyder. Like all you need is that piece. You just need some green screen and put a few lights and a fucking camera, man. But yeah, that's a testimony to the filmmaker's will, getting it done right there.
Indeed.
You don't need a big building. You need a camera, you need some green screen, you need a performer, you need some crew, and you need some passion. Lord knows they had that on the Snyder Cut.
They did indeed. And the performer is a fellow named Wayne T. Carr, Carr, who almost got his shot to be seen the world over as Jon Stewart, the first live action version of Jon Stewart.
Wayne T. Carr, man. I wonder who it'll be in the Green Lantern show. They haven't announced that yet, right?
They haven't announced it. I mean, and I remember some of the early press about it, and maybe they've either changed their minds or just weren't revealing it, but that Jon Stewart wasn't part of that show. That they're saving Jon Stewart for something else. But I don't know what that is. Probably a movie, but I don't know what movie that would be.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's all the Green Lantern news that we have for you, kid.
I mean, and that's 2 more stories than we usually have.
I mean, fuck yeah. If you were like hungry, if you were Green Lantern thirsty all these weeks, you just got double fucked. You're satisfied.
Just got Oreo double stuffed with Green Lantern.
Moving on, man. He found the ring, all right. The ring found him. What else is in the news, Mark?
A film that I suppose you would have to assume would get a sequel is getting a sequel. Godzilla versus Kong. There's going to be another in Legendary's sort of MonsterVerse series, which
they've announced this sequel before everyone had a chance to see the movie. So now we know the outcome. Kong lives. Fuck, spoilers.
Yeah, sorry, gang. Turns out they also both live. But
you mean they didn't kill off either of their multi-million IP, Mark? I'm shocked.
They did not. Although
what is this one called?
They don't know yet. They apparently Adam Wingard, who directed Godzilla vs. Kong, has been retained by Legendary to hatch another version of this, which was not a foregone conclusion because these movies are very, very expensive, and the grosses had been trending downwards over time. But since this launch, and it launched pretty big, and the fan response and the audience response has been overwhelmingly positive, they're getting back into the Hollow Earth chamber to gin up another movie. And right now, at least one possible title that's being floated internally, Son of Kong.
They made that movie once.
They did, and they seem to be wanting to make it again.
I'm all for that. Hey, in a world where, you know what they did? These cats were like, you know what sold $1 billion in trinkets last year? Not Yoda, Baby Yoda. So they're like, you know what? You know what's going to sell $1 billion in trinkets next year? Not King Kong, Baby Kong. Make him cute and, fucking cuddly. He can eat eggs. Go ahead. That's a studio exec. That's an actual recreation of a note session.
Well done. It's like, but he's got to be huge. I don't care if he's huge. He's the size of a fucking Volkswagen. If he's cuddly, let's do it.
Absolutely. Volkswagens are cuddly. I had one.
I used to cuddle with it every night. Herbie the Love Bug, they called it.
Then he fights a giant spider in the third act. I'm down like a clown. I still haven't finished Godzilla versus King Kong, not because I had any, harsh judgment against it. I just haven't gotten back to it. But what I did see, I thought, like, Jesus, this is insanely well made. So yeah, give him more movies.
Yeah, go for it.
Give him a movie, man. And this ain't his fault, but like, just before you give him the script, take out all the pages with the people. Just give him back the script with just the pages with all the fights and shit. Like, that's all we want. We all know this.
I mean, just give me a movie that has lots of fights, plus the little deaf girl teaching sign language to the cuddliest giant ape cub, whatever you call a baby ape. I'm not sure it's cub.
I guess you need, if you're going to put in Son of Kong, you need people, because at one point he could be, as a baby, the size of a grown man. So he could hang out with the humans, and maybe, like, he winds up with the humans, and Kong is like, they got my kid. You're the writer, you'll take care of shit.
Thank you, Mr. Warner, for giving me this job that I didn't know I had. You're the writer. Go make it happen.
And then Kong is like, Kong calls the humans, and he's like, I have a particular set of skills.
Straight monkey tooken.
I'm coming for you. All right.
Bamf.
Ooh.
Oh, look who's back, ladies and gentlemen. Bamf Boy is here.
I wanted to call out, Learned Bird said, wait, who did Kong fuck? So I'm wondering, did we miss an opportunity to do a movie beforehand?
Yes, what a great question. Who asked this question? Very logical.
Learned Bird in chat.
See, I didn't watch all of Godzilla vs. Kong, so Mark, I'm assuming in the second half he meets Lady Kong, which sets up Son of Kong. But
He does
that's
not.
not the case. No?
So it seems as if perhaps the next movie should be Bride of Kong and then Son of Kong.
Yeah.
Unless it's a cloning thing.
And they better not fuck. Oh, good point. You could totally do that. Yeah, there you go. That's smart. Hey, Bamf Boy, get back in here. Get in here.
Bamf.
Say your fucking trademark slogan. Mark has an excellent point. Tell that person in chat. Well, I guess we're telling them right now. Told them a second ago too.
Go send him a skin faxed.
Send one of those billionaire skin facts. It could be that he's cloned from Kong. That would make sense.
Right. They take
And
some
then do
DNA.
away with the what happened? We want to see that, because that is a whole movie. Never mind Bride of Kong. Kong Gets Laid is $1 billion movie. And Gets Laid is not an R-rated title. You could still fucking make it PG-13 so all the kids could come. But, you wouldn't want to bring them, because this shit is graphic.
Because not only, I mean, it's a Donkey Kong. Kong's Donkey Dong. It's like, oh shit.
People are like, I can't believe it took them this long to go in this direction. These kind type movies. They're like, now I want to see a whole series where they fuck. I want to see Godzilla Foxconn. I want to see them all fuck Mothra.
Why are there so many holes in the earth? Well, let me tell you.
Yeah, they're horny, these fuckers. That's what we call them, the fuckers. Meet the fuckers. Very successful franchise.
There we go. Hello, we have a way to reboot Meet the Fockers. How's that? Well, I'll tell you.
You mash them up, man. Just like you mash up what we're going to mash up at the beginning of the show.
Indiana Jones and Night at the Museum.
That's a brilliant idea. You know what, man? Still not for nothing. Like, we had Robert Kirkman on with us, and he's very fucking talented and obviously very imaginative and stuff. But that fucking Indiana Jones idea is fucking the greatest thing I think I heard on this show. You could totally make that movie. And with as old as Harrison Ford is, that's it. Like, he's
She's on escalators going up and down between the floors.
Because it's the 70s. You said it in the 70s. So they got a lot of escalators and shit like that. And elevators.
And elevators. I can't run so much anymore. That's fine, Mr. Ford.
It's honestly only days like this, and honestly, just moments like that, when I regret that I'm not in charge of anything. Because if I was the mayor of Hollywood, Mark, if I was Lucas, Mr. Lucas Film himself, I would greenlight a script at the very least. I'd be like, oh my God, let's read that script. And if that script worked, I'd be like, Harrison Ford's got a sense of humor. He might go for this, man. Like, especially if we fucking shovel that Han Solo money at him again. You see how quick the fucking Force woke up when we backed up the fucking money Millennium Falcon and dumped it on his lawn? So, I think if we carried an Ark of the Covenant full of fucking cash, I think he'd jump on board with this old Indy running around the museum, Ben Stiller style.
We're just sitting there like shouting at kids who are running around the museum. Hey, don't run so fast.
That's in the beginning. So you're writing them off as like this old fuddy-duddy.
Right.
But then fucking like when the terrorists come, it's like a little bit die-hardy. Then the old instincts kick in.
Terrorists. Like they would have been Nazis 3 movies ago, but now they're just like fucking terrorists.
No, Evans, yeah. But it's the 70s, man. He's fighting terrorists. All right, what other news we got?
This is somewhat late breaking, but I am in love with it, so I kind of want to throw it in here. They're making a Blackbeard TV show on HBO Max called Our Flag Means Death, which fucking metal title. Appreciate that.
That is pretty metal. Because it does. Skull and Crossbones meant only death.
100% means death.
But this is a comedy?
It's unclear if it's a comedy or not. But in addition to serving as executive producer and pilot director, Taika Waititi will star.
It's a comedy.
As Blackbeard.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll watch that.
Yes.
But it sounds like a, not going to say, oh, it's exactly like What We Do in the Shadows, but it sounds like a What's in the Shadows-ian look at the world of piracy, like that looks at the world of vampires.
Yes. Writer David Jenkins has created it. And according to him, our Blackbeard is a legend, a lover, a fighter, a tactical genius, a poetic soul, and quite possibly insane. Only one man could play this role, and that is the great Taika Waititi. And now I want to watch this.
I'm in. In chat, Boondock Saint just corrected us and said, no, the Skull and Crossbones did not mean death. The black flag meant not of the crown.
Yeah, but it eventually would come to mean death. It would be like if you saw that, it was not a good day for you.
Well, I don't want to get into a whole fucking fight with Boondock Saint here, Mark. So I'm not going to tell him that part. I'm just going to read what he said, and I'm going to.
I appreciate you ferrying the word. News from the front, sir.
Accent 5150 said, "What we do in the sales?" Question mark.
Ooh, what we do in the gallows.
Ooh. All right, I'm in for that show. What else?
Let's see. 2 more stories.
Were you Jeffrey Chim just piped in and said, "Rest in peace, Olympia Dukakis, age 89." I guess she just passed away.
She did.
What a great actress, from Moonstruck, from many things. That's a shame. She won an Oscar.
For Moonstruck.
Yeah. 89.
Yeah.
What a big life. Well done. Huge.
And the
theater.
Fisher King.
Bamf.
Damn. Who's back?
I have some info on the Black Flag. If we
Yes,
want to
please.
expand on that.
Drop some
Says-
science.
This is from The History of Pirate Flags,
Okay.
from University of Connecticut. Slowly, pirate captains abandoned the red flag for the much more infamous black flag. Black was chosen because the color was associated with death. Black first became associated with death after the Black Plague. Ships carrying passengers infested with the plague flew a yellow and black checked flag to warn other vessels against approaching. So what Mark said was true from a certain point of view.
Very Star Wars. I appreciate that, Obi-Wan.
And right now, Boondock Saint is like, why doesn't Banff Boy shut his fucking mouth? Quit while
I had the high ground.
Joe Anderson suggested what we do on the poop deck. That's a very funny
Well done.
variation. In the writer's room, Joe would be would give it like, you got 10 people. Joe's the junior. Everyone else has written a few shows. What kind of compliment does he get paid, Mark?
Good try. Thanks for that, Joe. It'll lead us to something else.
Nice. No, is that what they said? Oh, that would break my heart if they said that to me. It'll lead me to
Yeah.
something else. I'm like, no, I'm the destination. Don't go someplace else.
I'm the Kwisatz Haderach. I'm not the fucking off-ramp from this idea.
I've never once referred to myself as a Kwisatz Haderach, but I think I could now, because once Dune hits, people are going to know what it means and shit.
I know. Now's the
I
time for
remember
the license
it,
plate.
Like, if people read Dune, you can make that reference, but you couldn't really make the reference if people saw Dune, because nobody really saw Dune when it came out. They saw it on TV a bunch, perhaps, but like, it did not work out for them the first time. Looks like it's going to work out for him this time, though.
Fingers crossed.
The Kwisatz Haderach. My name is a killing word, Mark.
The sleeper has awakened.
Remove your hand, young human. What else we got in the news department?
There was, and still is, for that matter, a role-playing game that began in the 90s called Vampire the Masquerade. It's a tabletop role-playing game, which then, was Vampire the Masquerade, then Werewolf the Apocalypse, Mage the Ascension, Orpheus and Hunter the Reckoning. It had been previously adapted into a TV show called Kindred the Embraced, all about sort of vampires, like this vampire mobster kind of crossover. Like there's a bunch of families, and they all have their territories, and then turf wars. And I love the show. It lasted only a year because sadly the lead, a guy named Mark Frankel, died in a motorcycle accident, I believe.
Oh,
But that is all a preamble for now. It is coming back as a TV series that will be run by Eric Heiserer, who Oscar nominated for Arrival, along with Christine Boylan, who worked on shows like The Punisher, Castle, and Constantine, are bringing this now back to television. It makes me happy because I loved Arrival. Arrival is one of my favorite movies of the last 10 years.
Wait, who from Arrival? So what connection does it have to Arrival?
The screenwriter, Eric Heiser, who wrote Arrival.
And we like him. He also did something else, didn't he?
He did a lot of Final Destination stuff. He just did a show called Shadow and Bone, which is not currently on Netflix, kind of blowing up the charts.
Huge, yeah, it's all over, man. That's a very popular show.
Yeah.
Arrival was fucking stunning. Such a great story, insanely well made, well directed movie, but great script.
Yeah, fantastic show.
Like Academy Award nominated that year, wasn't it?
He got an Oscar nomination for that, and a bunch of award nominations all throughout the season. It makes me particularly happy because Eric and Christine are both man and wife. They're married, as well as friends of mine who are among the loveliest people that I know in Hollywood. Like when
what's Christine's name?
Christine Boylan, who wrote on Punisher and Castle and Constantine and Leverage. She's also an old hand at television.
Nice to be like a husband and wife writing team. How often does that happen?
Not that often, I don't think, and also to not have collaborated that much in the past. Like they were both kind of on their separate tracks, and this is the thing that helps bring them together. Because like the Wibberleys, I think, are husband and wife team. I think David Webb and Janet Peoples.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of them because something tells me that they would kill each other after a while, knowing the fights you have as a as a writing team.
If Best Friends, the movie with Burt Reynolds and Goldie Hawn from the 80s is to be believed, I believe they were both writers as well. Movie writers or sitcom writers, maybe songwriters. No, I think they were writers. But yeah, it seemed like, I guess I like, if you're being creative on the page, I guess, like, you know, you could be inventive off the page as well and be like, what if we just got married?
Wouldn't this be cool?
Yeah, like, what if we got married? And then what if there was a bomb under the table, but we didn't know about it? Audience knew about it, but we're married.
Yeah. What if there's cake under the table and nobody knows but us? Chekhov's cake.
What if we last forever? What if we don't? Oh my God. Two writers getting married must be very weird.
It must be like, it could be awesome, right? Because it's like, hey, we know exactly what the other is going through, and we know to give space when they need space and to offer ideas when to offer ideas. But there's also the world in which it's awful. These two seem to have made it work. So props for them. And they're also incredibly lovely, and I'm happy for their success.
Amen. Look at that. Mark knows people, you fuckers. You think he just knows me. He knows people and shit.
And know a person here and there. Yeah. Our last news story of the week is a pretty sweet little one, in that filmmaker George A. Romero, who invented the zombie genre with Night of the Living Dead back in 1968, is now posthumously finishing his cycle with a film called Twilight of the Dead, which is currently in the works. Even though he passed in 2017 had lung cancer, he was quietly developing this film. The concluding chapter meant to be his final statement on the genre. And now his widow, Suzanne Romero, has been sort of collaborating with screenwriters who are putting it together. And it seems like it's on a path.
A, I'm in. B, has it always been called Twilight of the Dead? Was George calling it that when he...
He was. There were a couple of movies that he did make. There was 2007's Diary of the Dead and 2009's Survival of the Dead.
Yeah.
But he himself did not consider them to be part of the overall story that began with Night of the Living Dead. So yeah, those were not the way he envisioned the story's ending. And so now this was supposed to be his goodbye, and now it seems as if a couple of filmmakers are making that happen.
A. Sorry.
Bless you.
That's the ring light, kids, not COVID. A, that's really beautiful, and I support this 1,000%. I want this to happen. B, the Mallrats sequel is entitled Twilight of the Mallrats. Which now I can see every critic calling it Twilight of the Dead, you know, in a Kevin Smith sucks kind of way. Fuck.
That's okay. I have a feeling that Twilight will be the way that they sort of make fun of it. This is like Twilight Breaking Dawn, Twilight blah, blah, blah.
They'll be like, this sparkles about as much as Twilight's vampires. And I'll be like, a lot? You mean brightly?
All the time?
No, you asshole. Negatively. We're the AV Club. Do you think we're going to say something nice about you, Kevin Smith? Don't be an idiot.
Wow. I did not expect a drive-by on the AV Club.
Nobody expects the drive-by from the AV Club, Mark. Yet all of us have to live through it on a regular basis. Not a month, kids. Not a month goes by where the AV Club doesn't figure out some way to be like, God, he sucks. God, Kevin Smith sucks. They went after me so hardcore. I didn't read the article, but a friend of mine was just like, I read the article about you doing the Kilroy auction. They're like, that's really cool. And I was like, thanks. And he was like, the people that wrote the article didn't think it was a good idea, though. And I honestly, like, I mean, I'm not being a dick, but I was literally like, let me guess. Were they called the AV Club? And they go, yes. And I'm like, of course. They hate everything I do. Literally everything. I'm not like offended by it. It's just, it's a brand for them at this point. Like at least they're consistent. I think once or twice they said something nice about the podcasts over the course of the last 5 or 10 years. But to be fair, they've consistently kind of disliked me since not the beginning. I don't know if they were there for Clerks, but yeah. Oh, it's they're not fans of mine whatsoever.
I mean, one must respect their consistency, I suppose.
I do. I absolutely. I'm, you know, I'd be surprised if it ever changed. Like I would start to then, you know how everyone's like, we live in a simulation. That's when I would know that we were in a simulation. I'm like, what do you mean the AV Club said something good? I was like, oh fuck. We do have fucking alien masters. Oh shit.
They're here and they started the AV Club.
Yes.
At any rate, Twilight of the Dead does not have a director yet, but they are now beginning to take meetings because they think that the script is in a place where they're happy, and now they want to get this thing made. So fingers crossed. I would like to see how George A. Romero would bring an end to the genre that he himself began.
I am with you on that. You know, we love Robert Kirkman, of course, who like reinvented the genre of zombies with The Walking Dead. But you know, even Robert will tell you, we all grew up watching fucking Romero stuff. So, you know, the fact that, you know, we have any sense of like, oh my God, running from a dead thing that wants to eat your live flesh, we owe to the great Romero himself. So I hope they do. I hope they make that work. Sounds like they shouldn't be able, like, what would hold that back? Like, you know, if I'm Shudder, I'm like,
fuck yeah.
they're like, hold on one sec. That's you.
If I'm Shudder, if I'm HBO Max, if I'm any one of these streaming services, like if you're going to give, you know, and this is not, you know, feast nor foul or shedding a light to curse the darkness, but Army of the Dead, I'm sure cost Netflix probably about $100 million to make. Maybe a little less, maybe a little more, who can tell? I bet you this movie cost 10 or 15. Like it feels like a bargain, just kind of waiting to happen. So I hope their circuitous path leads them towards production and release, and we all get to watch it.
I'm with that. I 100% back that. I'll be watching it.
Indeed.
That's all the news you got to print.
That's all the news, my friend.
In the chat, somebody says there is a new Cronenberg sci-fi film too. I didn't hear anything about it. Did you?
I heard that there was just some casting news, but I mean, it's always great when you can have more Cronenberg because we haven't had any in a while. And yeah, no, totally looking forward to it.
Bam.
Hello, Bamboy. Rashad T. Goldsboro said in chat, any comment on the leaked picture of the comic accurate costume of Ms. Marvel? Did anybody run into that online?
I did. It looks great. I mean, there's always very little to say about what is ultimately like a sort of paparazzi shot of an actress standing by waiting to shoot, but the costume looks pretty great. You know, like, and they're not hiding from it. That's the thing that I sort of appreciate about Marvel. Even when occasionally you get the Stay Puft Marshmallow Cap, they are wanting to be as adherent and as respectful of the comic source material as they can be. And so, yeah, Ms. Marvel looks fantastic.
I'm trying to find it right now. First look. It looks like she's going to a costume party, but not like, I'm not putting the costume down. I think in the story, it looks like she's pretending to be Captain Marvel. No, is that the way? What? Is she on wires? No. Are you familiar with the Ms. Marvel story?
Not a ton. Most of my familiarity comes from the game, which I played. The Avengers, the most recent Avengers video game, the main character of which is Ms. Marvel.
Is she a fan of Captain Marvel? Is that why she's dressed like this? Because this doesn't look like Ms. Marvel's outfit.
No, I mean it's definitely not. It's a whole new different thing, but I think that there is some inspiration from the superheroes in the world that she kind of tries to pay homage to. Have you found it?
I don't know. I don't know if if I got the right thing here, but they're saying in chat that Viggo Mortensen is starring in the new Cronenberg film. Spider Minch says Cronenberg Crimes of the Future, a deep dive into the not so distant future where humankind is learning to adapt to its synthetic surroundings. The evolution moves humans beyond their natural state. Boy, that sounds as Cronenbergian as it gets. The other news that we skipped a little bit, which wasn't really big news, I think maybe to me because I'd heard it internally, but Noah Centineo has left the
Masters Universe movie.
Masters of the Universe live action movie. So anyway, wait, Bamf, come on back, Bamf. Yeah, what's up, Bamf?
Big news that broke earlier today. There was a picture that I'll put up right now of the location from the 1989 Batman Wayne Manor. And somebody with a telephoto iPhone lens or whatever spotted a Warner Brothers truck parked outside, with the idea being that they are going back to these the old 1989 Batman Wayne Manor to use it in the new Flash movie.
I mean, props.
That's cool.
Jeff's kiss right there. If you're going back to the actual fucking location to shoot, come on, that's pretty wonderful. Now they used a couple different mansions to shoot Wayne Manor throughout those the two Tim Burton movies, and then of course later on the whatchamacallit, the Joel Schumacher movies as well. But you know, when I saw that picture earlier online, it just gave me the impression that Andy Muschietti, is that who's directing? Doing some wonderful fan service there.
I mean, it makes sense. Like if you're bringing back Michael Keaton, why not?
And you know, rumors are we get 2 Batman in this movie. We might see the other Wayne Manor again as well.
Yeah.
We got House by the Lake. Who am I? I'm Hella. Kate Blanchett, ladies and gentlemen.
Very nice. Oscar winner Kate Blanchett, right here.
All right. Bamf, I believe we're done with the news. Give it up for Marc Bernardin. He gave you the news, ladies and gentlemen. The news.
The news. That's my news face.
Come on in, Bamf boy.
Bamf.
Why, hello. Hey, I got a little plug. I got 2 plugs to make.
Okay, and then we got an ad to read.
Oh, we'll do that next. Smith family plugs to make. Number 1, Cruel Summer is airing right now on Freeform. You can watch it on Hulu if you're into it. It's a good show. I'm watching it. My kid's in it. Harley's in it. And it was Freeform's like best performing debut of all time. They just released.
Yeah. You're not the only one watching it, Kev. Apparently. I haven't watched it yet because I've been on fucking the moon. But the fact that it's the largest cross-platform launch in Freeform's history means that lots of people are watching this show.
That's pretty big news. The kid was very, very excited. Most of all, especially because she's like, that means I might work again. I'm like, yes, exactly what you mean. But it's been interesting. I never, really did a TV show thing. We had like, well, I mean, what am I talking about? We had fucking Comic Book Men, but that's like a reality show. I never had like a scripted fucking TV show. The closest thing I had was the Clerks cartoon, and it got canceled and shit. So after like 2 episodes. So watching the experience, like her go through, like as the TV show debuts and unfolds, and like people react to it in real time, has been really interesting and exciting. Something I normally do as a fan for things that I'm reacting to in real time, watching other people. Like I've seen theories about the show, about like where the characters go, and I'm like, that's so fucking weird and wonderful. So I'm happy for it. So Cruel Summer, if you don't watch it on Freeform, you can watch it on Hulu. And it may be over by now. Let me check. We opened up Jay and Silent Bob's Crypto Studio this week, my NFT gallery. Please don't yell at me, ladies and gentlemen. We work on Phantasma Chain, which uses an almost infinitesimal amount of energy compared to Ether and Bitcoin and other forms of blockchain. Please, before you start writing in the chat about how this is killing the planet, go to Phantasma Chain and read all about them. People online will tell you that's with this company, it's not the case. In any event, Jay and Silent Bob Crypto Studio. We have like an auction going on for, let me see, when does it end? There's 2.5 hours left and there's 3 bids on it. There's an auction going on for a platinum smoking token. And if you win that auction, you get a cameo in Clerks 3. And right now there's 3 bidders and for it. It's pretty exciting. So that's, if you're into the world of crypto at all. If you're not, I'm not saying you got to get into it or anything like that. But if you're remotely into the world of crypto, go to crypto.jayandsilentbob.com and come play along. Only 2 more hours left to that auction, but the rest of the drop is still up there. You can still get smoking tokens or Buttman and Chronic NFT that Captain Ribman did. Fun stuff. And anyway, never mind the products that I have to sell, ladies and gentlemen. In order to keep our lights on, we've got whatchamacallit, an ad to do. We got another sponsor. Remember how we had a sponsor at the top of the show? Well, that sponsor's back.
A new sponsor is here.
That's right. Excellent point.
The good folks at Keeps. 2 out of 3 men will experience some form of hair loss by the time they turn 35. And 50 million men in the US suffer from some form of male pattern baldness. There are only 2 FDA-approved medications that can prevent hair loss. Keeps offers them both.
The good folks at Keeps, ladies and gentlemen, are the people that are sponsoring the second half of tonight's Fat Man Beyond. Do me a favor as we speak about them. Scroll over, pull another screen up and go to keeps.com, keeps.com/fatman to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's keeps.com/fatman to get your first month free. keeps.com/fatman. Kids, I just want to share a tweet that I sent to Mark and JC this week. I can't find it. God damn it. Where is it? No, maybe it's Mark. Maybe I just sent it to Mark. Hold on. Yes. No. God damn it. No, it definitely would have been Mark and JC. It was the dude who bought Keeps. And I was like, what?
Yeah, from a fellow named Jason.
There it is.
Twitter.
Only because that Kevin Smith and Marc Bernardin had so enthusiastically recommended it. I just placed my first order from Get Keeps. That's their Twitter address. I've tried numerous products over the years, so we shall see. Thank you, Jason. That was one of the few times in my life I've ever been like, wow, like advertising actually works. I saw it literally work. And there were 2 other tweets this week that I saw were like that. So thank you for actually going out and patronizing our sponsor. That's the only way that they ever decide to come back. And Keeps comes back a lot, man. Just like Keeps you here. Just like keeps you here. I wish, as a 25-year-old man, when my mother first saw the motion picture Mallrats and Silent Bob's head goes through the door and his hat falls off in the changing room door. And one of my mother's only comments about the whole movie was, Tiger, you got a little bald spot in the back of your head. You should look out for that. I was like, Ma, I made a movie with a Hollywood studio. That's your big note? And she was like, well, it's just, movie's not for me, but I was happy to see you run around, get a little exercise and shit like that. She's no Siskel nor Ebert, my mom. So, no. But that, if I had Keeps in 1995, Mark, I'd have kept a lot more of the hair that I've lost ever since then. You know what somebody just told me recently? I'm sure I've heard it often throughout my life, but really never paid much attention to it. Apparently, if you wear a hat, like it doesn't fucking help your hair case. Like it helps kill your hair. Yeah. And part of my whole shtick was wearing a hat, Mark. So somebody had told me this, I would have fucking squirted Keeps all over my hat every day before I put it on my head. I would have kept a lot more of what was mine. And that's gone. Those pieces of me are gone, kids. I'll never come back.
But what Keeps does, it offers a simple, stress-free way to keep that hair. Low-cost treatments. Treatments start at just fucking $10 a month. Generic versions, discreet packaging, and proven results. They got more 5-star reviews than any of their competitors. And prevention is key, so start early. Treatments can take 4 to 6 months to see results. And hey, convenient virtual doctor consultations and medications delivered straight to your door every 3 months. You don't even have to leave the house. Even though if you live in a place, then maybe you can leave the house, but you don't have to. They'll bring it
I'll tell
right
you
to you.
something. You keep more of your hair, you're going to leave the house all the time. You lose more of your hair, you're going to sit in the house and you're going to wear funny hats to make up for it.
Pretend to be Hella when we know you're not.
That's my Kate Blanchett kids. What are you waiting for? If you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, and goddamn it, who isn't, for heaven's sakes, go to KEEPS.com/fatman to receive your free first month of treatment, ladies and gentlemen. That's KEEPS.com/fatman to get your first month free for nothing, as we say.
KEEPS.com/fatman.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. We thank the good folks at Keeps for keeping us around. As a sponsor. Like after that, we're dropping off your fucking show. All right, Banff boy. Haven't we fucking been doing this long enough? Hasn't the public suffered? Can't we bring the show to its merciful conclusion? And we can't do that unless we know what the questions are. I don't even know if he can hear us.
Banff. I'm in.
We're just waiting for the right moment to dive in and all that shit.
We also have some tweets about their people's favorite Invincible moment. If
That's
we want
right.
to throw those up. But they go over my face, so I have to bamf out so I can put the tweets up.
So you're going to put them up on the mutual screen for us all to enjoy.
Yeah. So
All right,
we'll do...
So I'm going to try to make that screen my main screen.
Oh yeah, I can't see that. Hold.
Let's
Okay.
see.
Final scene of the first episode just came out of nowhere and has completely changed what I thought this was all about. From Derek Weichel. His favorite scene.
Give us another one, JC. This one says the best worst part was Omni-Man. Look at the old men we are, fucking trying to read the tiny ass print. The best.
Hold on, mother, get my good reading glasses.
Believe me, I was just going like, what can I was thinking about taking a photo with my phone, blowing it up so I could look at it.
The old menu trick.
Yes. The best worst part was Omni-Man holding his son by the head as he forces him through the subway train. You are absolutely right. Pinway Power 504 or Pinay Power fine at 504. And I say that all the time. You're absolutely right. Pinay Power 504. That's fun. What a fun new feature.
Yeah,
Last week we tried Hi-Ho. This week, JC running some tweets. Is that the best of the bunch, JC?
Yeah, we got, we'll do this last one. I'll read it because it's kind of tiny. Fat Man Beyond, the best part of season 1 of Invincible was the sudden attack of Omni-Man killing the Guardians. It is so shocking in the violent brutality. It is an amazing promise of the unpredictability to come. And that's from John C. 666.
Very true.
They are not kidding, man. I thought that it was I was already into the show when it ended, when I thought it ended, and then all of a sudden fucking he just went rogue and killed everybody. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Chopping the head off Immortal with his hand, and then Immortal gets to come back in episode 7 and get cut in half again. Dude. Then
come back in the final episode as well. In the montage, they start bringing people back. All right. Shall we Q&A? Shall we play a game, JC?
Bam.
Boy? Yeah, he's back.
Okay. Q&A today. Let's start with this one. It's not really a Q&A, but it was interesting. Junkbox has sent a couple messages saying, hey, JC, Kevin, and Mark, I'm in the hospital with my wife giving birth to our son, and we still haven't decided on a name, and we need your guys' help. So we get to name this guy's son.
Wow.
We get to give a suggestion. I don't know if it's legally binding.
I'm not giving it unless it's for real.
He'll have to come back next week and tell us whether it worked.
See if they'll put money in our PayPal because we don't write for free. We're professional.
Well, I'll give it for free, but no notes. So you have to just take what I'm giving you.
Yes. All right. Here's it's a boy.
It's a boy.
I mean, look, Banff Boy is a great name.
It's sitting right there.
Yeah, Banff Boy and whatever their name is. In my world, it would be if I had a son, Banff Boy Smith. That way, whenever I call them, Banff Boy, get in here, people will be like, why do you do that? I'm like, that's his first and middle name. My mother called me Kevin Patrick all the time, especially when she was mad. Kevin Patrick, and that meant I was in trouble. So I'd be like, Banff Boy. And then he'd be like, fuck, I'm in trouble. And he'd be like, of course I'm in trouble because my psychotic parents named me Banff Boy.
Yes, this is my government name.
Yeah, this is my govy, and it fucking really affected my life. Like, you might as well have named me Dick Head or something like that. All right, so maybe not Banff Boy. Let's see. I was originally going to be Brian Scott. That's what my parents went to the hospital thinking they were going to give birth if it was, they didn't know what they were going to have. So they were like, if it was a boy, it's going to be Brian Scott. And then there was a baby born in the hospital the day before named Brian Scott. So my mom got cold feet and she was like, oh my God, we got to think of something else. And they went with Kevin Patrick, which had no ties to anyone in our family. It was not like, oh, you got an uncle named Kevin. My sister is named after my Aunt Virginia. My brother's named after my Uncle Donald and stuff. My parents just named me Kevin Patrick. And my grandmother, my mother's mother, would not let my mother forget about it for the rest of her life. She was always like, what kind of Kevin Patrick? What is that? A mailman? Why did you name him that? We don't have a single Kevin in our family.
Well, I'm married to the mailman, so that's what's happening.
Yeah, really. She's like, guess what, Ma? I fucked a mailman. I sucked him off because I love him. The postman always comes twice, Mom. And that's Kate Blanchett in the role of my mother, yelling at my grandmother.
Pass out.
Show that me and Mark will be pitching soon to HBO Max.
Indeed. The postman always comes twice.
All right. So name. Archibald Leach.
Nice.
There was a very famous guy who gave it up. So it hasn't been used a lot.
It's just sitting there.
Yeah.
I feel like Leroy Jenkins would be interesting.
Leroy Jenkins. Boy, you get to enter a room, don't you?
Oh, hell yeah. Especially if that's your first and middle name. Like you're getting that a lot when you fucking knock over a lamp. Leroy Jenkins, did you knock over that lamp?
Leroy Jenkins. And then you could just always respond, Leroy Jenkins. Scream back in everybody's
just
face.
like, God damn it, Leroy. Okay, I guess let's arm magic missile. I guess we're doing this now. That's fine. How about Grayson? Grayson's a good name.
It is, and very on topic for Invincible. And that's the family's name. Nolan, Grayson, Mark.
Yes, Nolan, Mark, and Debbie.
Banff.
Oh, Banff Boy's back with some factoids.
We had a couple people recommending Jeff, as in Jeff's Kiss.
Now those are people thinking about the brand of the show, unlike me and Mark.
I can tell the story. We were almost, so we had a daughter and we named her Jocelyn Jane Reifenberg. But had it been a boy, my sister and my brother have both had daughters since my mom passed, and they named the daughter's middle name Anne to honor my mom. So we didn't feel like if we had to have a daughter, we had to name her middle name Anne, and Jen's middle name's Anne. So it was a whole thing. But if Jocelyn had been a boy, we were going to name our baby boy Zach, and to honor my mom, her maiden name was Morris. So we were going to name our son Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell, which was
Saved by the Bell.
Jen's favorite television show growing up.
Wow.
That's crazy. That's wonderful, man. Look at that shit.
If we have a little baby boy, now his name story is on stream forever.
And if you have another boy, you can name him Max Cafe.
Ooh.
Oh, that would be a good one.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Or Parker Lewis.
To the first people. Max Cafe.
So yeah, I'm going with Grayson or Leroy Jenkins.
Leroy Jenkins. Dynamite Sumbitch from chat suggested name him Victor Garber, then have him come on the show.
The only way to get Victor Garber.
Finally have Victor Garber on the show. I was just watching literally Argo before we started doing the show with my wife because we were like, I haven't seen Argo in a long time. Let's watch fucking Argo. And it's bittersweet because Victor Garber's all over the motherfucker, man. And I'm like, this is when I reached out. I remember it was around Argo. I reached out and I was like, he's got to be promoting it. I'm sure he'll come on the podcast. And his people were like, no. They were like, he's no, not at this. Not at first. They were nice. They're like, not at this time. And I was like, okay, like what time? And they were like, no time, bro.
Crickets.
Don't you recognize a pushback? I was like, fuck that. Whoa.
We're pocket vetoing this. We're just not going to comment anymore.
The grand irony, Mark, is Victor Garber would never get a more loving interview than he would get from a lifelong fan of Godspell and fucking Sweeney Todd, not to mention the many other things he's done.
He does not know how waxed his pole would be.
Alias's dad? Come on. He's the original Omni-Man. If you think about it, on that show, he kind of was. Remember? It's like you didn't know if he was a prick or a good guy and shit for a while.
I built the finest boat, 3 rows. And this bitch is going down.
That's Titanic.
Yeah, but that's Victor Garber.
That's right. He fucking built the boat. Titanic's Victor Garber. So he was in Titanic, which won Academy Award Best Picture, and he was in Argo, which won Best Picture. Victor Garber is Oscar Gold. He's the secret weapon. Nobody gets it.
He's a lucky charm. He's magically delicious.
If we had him on this show, 1 million views, easy. Most people would be like, who is this now? Who's this even older man they have on the show? Who you fucking clowns are, let alone who the third guy is.
It's the gray hair edition.
The guy with the funny hat sure likes him. And the guy who's getting loved on by the guy with the funny hat, he looks like he don't want to be here at all.
This looks like a hostage tape. Is this a proof of life?
All right, Jake. You know, all that Victor Garber talk makes me need to hit my clove cigarette. Cloves. It's better than tobacco. Bamf boy, come on in here.
Bamf.
The level of dedication with which.
Great show, a job on this show, but the fact that you can't fucking secure Garber is real. I know you got the baby and all, but come on. A little more elbow grease into the Garber thing. Anyway, question 2.
Question 2. This one is from Neon Gorilla. If you could bring one fictional character from any series onto the show to ask them questions, what character would you pick, and what would your first question be?
Okay.
Great question. Who asked that? Give him a shout out.
Neon Gorilla. Well done, Neon Gorilla.
All of history?
Or from a fictional character from a TV show, from a movie, from anything?
One fictional character from any series. So I think a TV series.
You know, my clove cigarettes, through the haze of clove cigarettes, what I heard was pick anyone in history to interview for your show. And I was like, I don't know, Lincoln, but would he understand what we were talking about? Like, you know, like that show would be like very serious and political. But if we were like, Abe, why won't Victor Garber come on this show?
Who? Victor Garber?
Take off his giant stovepipe hat to be like,
and it's just a high top. It's just under there. It's just fucking Kid and Play high top under there.
That'd be amazing. Number 1. Number 2, he'd feel right at home in the funny hat show, but the shot would be all fucked up. It'd be so wide to get him and the whole hat in and shit. Any fictional character I get to interview?
From any TV series.
From any TV series. It's literally dead air. Some people probably thought that their internet froze.
Yeah, we're just like, Huh?
I mean, like, to be fair, look how much serious consideration went into it. So much so that even with a live show, we were like, everyone shut up. This is important. And I'm literally going through everything I've watched in my life, thinking about the most compelling characters. And I, you know, there's a part of me that just because we're here wants to be like fucking Bruce Wayne, but like, let's retire that jersey for this conversation and say that fucking superheroes are off the table.
Bamf.
Oh, man.
I'll throw one. I'd like to have Winnie the Pooh on the show. Winnie the Pooh seems to figure have life figured out.
Oh, bother. Why, thank you.
Listen, now I have two because I hadn't even really factored cartoons in.
That's all I was thinking of was cartoon characters. Yeah, Pooh Bear, man, that's a good choice. Fucking, we can learn a lot from fucking Pooh Bear. Read the Tao of Pooh. Changed my life when I was younger. Put me on the path I am today. I wouldn't be the man I am today, and that's barely a man. It's like an overgrown 12-year-old who dresses like one without the Tao of Pooh.
All
for
right.
those of you out there looking it up, spelling it with a D,
You're wrong.
you're wrong. It's spelled with a T, but it's pronounced with a D. Not my rules. The
Yep,
Tao of Pooh. And
Those are the Music Man rules.
it's true. And the Day of Piglet. T-E. All right, wait. So have you thought of one yet?
I did, yes.
Go.
My first interview would be to Elmer Fudd. And I would like to know if he even likes the taste of rabbit.
Why do you want to kill so bad? You found a talking rabbit. Why do you keep trying to kill it?
Yeah, it's not going to be more delicious than amazing that you have a talking fucking rabbit.
And also, by the way, it's a miracle to have a talking rabbit. This talking rabbit is fucking legit funny. So instead of trying to kill him, what you do is you Jason Muse him. You make a series of motion pictures where he stands next to you and you don't say anything and shit.
Is that how you met Jason? Were you trying to kill him?
I was like, be very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits. That's a great idea. Let me see.
I got another one.
I'll give you one and then we'll go back to you. Tony Soprano.
Ooh, okay. What's your question?
He liked a lot of pop culture. So you could also, it wouldn't just be mob shit. You could just talk about shit. I mean, I'm no good at the History Channel shit. He liked that, but he seemed to watch a lot of movies. So he might know, you know, might be able to do some shit we normally do on this show with him as well. Plus, really get inside his head. Honestly, the big question I'd be like is why the fuck did you ever cheat on Carmela? Like, I know that some of the women were younger and whatever the fuck, but like, no, like every man in this world looking for a Carmela Soprano, somebody that fucking loyal, true, dependable, fucking good looking, smart, fucking in control and shit like that. Balls of steel. You know, and he'd fucking kill me before what did you say about my marriage? And then fucking
yeah. I mean, although that question, it's like, hey, Jay-Z, why did you cheat on Beyonce? And then the only answer is, I got the appetites.
Yeah, I guess there's no real good answer for that. Actually, if you're Tony Soprano, you're like, ask the fucking writers.
Yeah, I just show up.
Ask David Chase why the fuck I cheated on Carmel. Who was yours? You said you had another one.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Gaius Baltar.
Wow.
Do you regret any decisions that you've made? Because he's made a bunch of bad decisions, but every one of them seems to have come from a place that made sense to him. And so it's like, hey man, looking back on, you know, your time and space, what do you think about it? What's your perspective on the dumbass shit that you did?
Can I add to my list?
Yes, please.
Rick Sanchez. You get a lot of conversation out of Rick Sanchez and legit dry funny. He's like Robert Kirkman. He'd be as good a guest as Robert Kirkman, if not better, because let's be honest, Kirkman may be rich, but he ain't been to space yet. That's next week. When him and his billionaire friends get on their fucking Starcraft. Yeah, Rick Sanchez. That's a good question. All right, that's our second one.
Indeed.
Now we get to 3. Ask of we these questions 3. What do you got? Homer Simpson also would have been a good interview.
Yes. You're muted.
You're muted. Lisa Simpson might be a better interview.
Oh, true.
Homer more entertaining.
What about Star-Lord? You could catch him up on like 30 years of pop culture. Like, do you believe we have real fun movies now from all the crap we used to love?
Can I tell you one of my favorite exchanges in movie history of all time is when what master do you serve? What master do I serve? When am I supposed to say Jesus? And then fucking Tony Stark goes, Jesus, you're from Earth. And he goes, I'm from Missouri. That's some good ass fucking writing, man. That's a great exchange. But my master, what am I supposed to say? Jesus? I couldn't believe they did that in a Marvel movie, but it was fucking legit. In any event, I forget why I got onto that tangent.
Because Star-Lord. Clove cigarettes, baby.
Yeah, Star-Lord and clove cigarettes.
Yeah, you could ask him. Tyler Hall just said you could ask him about the Footloose remake. Would you believe there is a Footloose remake? And we could do a watch along with him.
Yeah, and then explain what a remake is.
You could also be like, yeah, it's true. You could be like the Footloose. No, because he left in what year?
80 what?
He probably knew there was a Scarface and that was a remake. Frankenstein, there've been remakes. Hey, back off on fucking Star-Lord. You're making him out to be an idiot.
I will say that per the parameters of the question, Star-Lord is not acceptable because it's a movie and not a TV show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very true.
But you could also point out that there's been a Guardian of the Galaxy's cartoon, so there has been a Star-Lord on TV.
Fair enough. Now I'll allow it. You watch your step.
The judge is allowing it, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
Okay, Daniel Corbell. Since Mark mentioned For All Mankind, what moment in comic book history or pop culture would you want to see as an alternative version, and how would it turn out?
So not talking about comic book history, like they're not talking about a show about the comic book industry, but it's like, but what if Stan Lee was a woman or something like that?
I think it's more like what if. It's like what if.
What if? What would you want to see? Like take something iconic and twist it to make it different.
Okay.
I will say, and this is the most self-serving version of this answer, but I did just write a Spider-Man comic. I'm sorry, a Peter Parker comic that is basically the what if Peter Parker was never bitten by the spider and what happens to his life. Coming out this May from Marvel Comics, Peter Parker, the Amazing Shutterbug. But it's always interesting to imagine. I mean, that's all that Elseworlds was, right? Like, what if what if Kal-El's shuttle lands in Russia and not Kansas? You know, what if a frog got to be Thor? That's always cool. Do you have any thoughts, Mr. Smith? Or are you still thinking?
It's low-hanging fruit, but and we've talked about it before on the show, and you've given very good reasons why, you know, it's not a logical take based on inherited wealth, but like, you know, Black Batman that's an alternate history version of the story that I would love to see told. And, you know, a lot of people are like, well, they have one in the future issues. And I'm like, no, man, just Bruce Wayne. But like Mark's point is always that, you know, that the idea of a generational wealth that's been handed down over time, so much so that this kid never has to work and can build a giant fucking operating tank and then a couple duplicates of it and shit like that. That comes from, you know, privilege. Batman, story of the ultimate white privilege.
There was always that joke, like, why does Batman have the cutout on his mask? It's like, so the cops know he's white. Like, hey, it's good. Come on, homie.
I never heard that. All right, I'm sorry. Were we on a question? We were. This was the
Yeah,
third.
this was a question.
Bam.
Although somebody must have done at some point the what if Thomas and Martha Wayne hadn't been shot, right? Like, what does Bruce Wayne grow up to be if not for that tragedy?
Yeah, they. I mean, don't they? They did that in the animated series. Like, he just don't do heroic shit. He watches. Remember in the one with Mad Hatter? His parents were alive, and what dreams may come, I think it was, and he saw Batman, but like his mind. Remember, it was like it summed up so well. He's like, Mad Hatter was like, "How did you know?" And he was like, "Because the writing was not backwards, and in dreams, our writing is backwards, or something like that." It was something real technical, but very Dark Knight detective and shit. But how far do you get with that? Like, what if? I mean, yeah, I guess like if you change, if they don't die, his parents he sees his parents get shot, and the reaction, the result is that he becomes Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you could do the flip version, which is he sees his parents die and he becomes Batman. But Batman is not a vigilante who fights for good. Batman is a selfish taker who just wants to wreak revenge and havoc on the world. Mm-hmm. He ain't even in it for the money. Essentially, he's the fucking Joker without makeup and shit like that. A guy who's like, sanity has been taken from him at a young age because he went through the ultimate loss. He lost his parents as a boy. And so rather than him being like, I swear this will never happen to anyone ever again, which is what he did in the comics, he instead goes the other route. And he's just like, well, now the whole world can go fuck itself. And now I'm going to make the world feel like I felt that day over and fucking over and over again. And then suddenly you have Batman. I think I just came up with something, Mark. It was an accident.
Keep it to yourself, Kevin.
You did. I was trying to make a joke, and I think I've turned it into something. So he's a villain. Basically, it's the exact same story, but instead of going good, he goes bad. And I'm pretty sure they did this in an old Detective Comics annual with a great cover where Batman looked like Batman, and then there was a guy who looked exactly like Batman, but done in brown, and he had a similar story. I'm sure somebody in the chat will probably think of it at this point. But is an old annual, and he used a rifle, and they never really reused the character, at least when I was younger. They may have done it. I'm hoping somebody comes up with it. Maybe it's just so old that I'm only the one to remember. It's not Catman, it's not Owlman. Thank you, Epic Doggo and Bruce Bickley, for suggestions. But it's an old 70s, late 70s, early 80s. Kabuki Kid says chat only cares about Jeff's Kiss t-shirts. Kids, I've seen the design of the Jeff's Kiss t-shirt, and it's wonderful. It's done by our very own Dark Nate himself, Nate Gonzalez. We just not have had a chance to manufacture or put them up because we've been trying to make sure all the orders we have at jayandsilentbob.com have been taken care of. So we got some more help. Those orders are out. So this week we're going to put up the first draft of the Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back script, the one that in which they never go to Hollywood, the script nobody's read. And then we will also be putting up the Jeff's Kiss shirt as well. I'm happy that they say that, people are like, we want to fucking talk about that. But fuck, I wish I could remember. Here, you talk while I go look this up.
But like, I think there's a couple different versions of that, right? There's he goes to be a villain because he wants to exact upon Gotham what was exacted upon him, which is I'm going to take everything from you. There's the if they don't die at all, like what happens to Gotham City, right? Does Gotham City just go down the fucking tubes if there's no Batman to patrol it? Or does the fact that there's a Wayne family that is still doing active philanthropy and charity work make it change for the better? Do they do things like build infrastructure and fix roads and give money to schools? And like what happens in that version? What's the version where they die but not by the hands of a murderer? Like what happens if like they get hit by a car, you know, and suddenly the Waynes are dying and it's nobody's fault, you know, except for like a shitty hospital system that isn't around to fix them. Like, does he then become a fucking doctor like his parents wanted him to be? Like, I think that there's 8 different versions out of that one event that can all yield really interesting stories. The villain version is super cool and probably more dramatic than the he becomes a doctor, because that's not a comic book anymore. That's fucking ER or whatever. But still, I'd be interested in all of those.
The story that I'm talking about in the Batman, it wasn't an annual. JC, can you throw up art for Batman Special #1? If you just Google Batman Special #1, Michael Golden, it'll come up. To me, it's a very famous cover. I'm actually now curious to see if you're familiar with this, Mark. It is a story written by Mike Barr, the great Mike Barr. It was Batman Special #1. The story was called The Player on the Other Side. And it has gorgeous fucking 70s Michael Golden art in the interior of the books. And it tells the story. Yeah, there it is. You can see a picture of it. The Wrath, the character was called. While it's, you know, he says, while his mirror is self wars against all law and those who enforce the law as the wrath. Now each must gaze into the mirror of his soul and face the player on the other side. And the Wrath's outfit looks insanely like he has a line about Bruce Wayne has a line like Siamese twins. We were born on the same night, but tomorrow night I'll sever us permanently. Oh no, the other guy had the line. That wasn't Bruce. It's a chilling fucking story. And the idea behind it, according to batmannews.com, they said the idea behind this story is pretty interesting. On the same night, at the exact same time as the Wayne murders, another child's parents are killed as well. Instead of law-abiding citizens being killed by a mugger, though, this child's parents are criminals who are shot by a police officer. Angry at the justice system, and this one officer in particular, this child vows to have his revenge. That police officer?
Jim Gordon.
A young James Gordon. It writes itself, that fucking story. It's a great fucking story, man. But in any event, my version would still be just flat out Bruce Wayne. Yeah, Bill Fisher or B.L. Fisher says he looks like Faust. I always thought that happened too. Wrath that looked like Faust later on, the character Faust. But in any event, I would do the Batman, the exact same Batman story, but it doesn't make him go good. It makes him go Wrath. It makes him go like the whole fucking world's gonna pay. He's, you know, the guy from Seven. I don't want to say, you know, the actor because it creeps everybody out. But
perhaps the title of this one is Breaking Bat.
Yes, motherfucking kiss on that, my friend. Did we answer all 3?
Bamf. We did. I had one for this last one that's a little bit different. I went more for All Mankind. I thought it would be interesting. What if David Lynch agreed to make Return of the Jedi?
Ooh, like he was approached to do.
Mm-hmm. And he said yes. How would that have turned out? No Ewoks.
No.
No,
space vaginas.
They would have looked like, yeah, aborted fetuses with space vaginas. Mark's absolutely right. You would have been scared of those Ewoks, not irritated by them. You wouldn't have been like, oh, this thing jumped the shark. You would have been like, this thing just fucking jumped into the art houses. What the fuck happened? Excellent.
Shark Inside Out.
What do you do instead? Dune, ladies and gentlemen. Also an amazing movie. May not have done the business of Return of the Jedi, but shit, not at the box office, but it'll do the business, the entertainment business of a Return of the Jedi in as much as it will entertain you like Return of the Jedi.
And it will never leave the pop culture firmament. It will always have a place in the, do you guys remember that Dune movie? Yeah, I do.
In many ways, Star Wars is an imitator. Without Dune, you don't get Star Wars. Just like without Cate Blanchett playing Hela, you don't get this shit.
Thank you, Kate Blanchett.
Did you have a good time, kids, watching our show? Well, remember when fucking Kirkman came on here and we got to stare at a rich guy for like an hour, just see what they look like a.
I mean, even his hair from here looked like really lustrous and like
just
the mane of a rock god.
Oh, to be that wealthy. Oh, to be that talented. Oh, to be that fun and funny and charming. He's such a great guest. We thank Robert Kirkman for joining us earlier. S.h.i.e.L.D. obviously thanks Robert Kirkman. She's a huge fucking Kirkman fan. S.h.i.e.L.D.'s still mad that I moved him into the credits of Jay and Silent Bob reboot and not the main body of the movie. And I try to explain to my dog all the time, Mark, that it would have interrupted the like serious nature of like them getting to the con and having that scene with Ben Affleck's Holden character. But S.h.i.e.L.D. being a huge Kirkman fan, still to this day, gives me shit about it, as you can hear.
Shits on the rug in protest.
Yeah. She heard that. She looked over. She was like, fuck him. We thank Robert Kirkman for joining us. We thank the good folks at Keeps, KEEPS.com, for sponsoring us, as well as our good friends over at NativeDEO.com for joining us. Can you believe that you spent nearly 3 hours of your Saturday night sitting around with a couple of old timers, motherfucking Waldorf and Statler and Waldorf of the fucking comic book biz, sitting in our box, casting aspersions and laughing like old fucking vultures. Oh.
Let me tell you about this shitty movie called The Raid.
To be fair, you were loving on The Raid, but you were just saying like you're going from the bottom to the top. You were draking it. There was nothing wrong with that.
No.
But you did go hard after fucking Mortal Kombat. It was a total fatality. You were like, I'm gonna finish him, and you took its spine out.
I flawless victoried the shit out of that movie.
Bamf boy, get in here and take your propers.
Bamf.
Look at this shit, man. He's got the special effects. He's got his catchphrase, courtesy of Marvel. He's got he threw tweets in your face this week. You're gonna do that when we go live, right? That's a big thing for live.
We'll do that when we get back to the bar, which coincidentally is open on May the 4th, which is this coming Tuesday at 12 noon.
Are you selling tickets, or are you just allowed to be fucking open?
We're just open, but we're doing a $20 per person per hour spend. So you can't just sit there and nurse one blue milk all day. Because we've got super limited capacity this year.
That's what I was going to ask. Are you allowed? What is it? What's your cap?
If every single seat is filled, meaning every booth comes with 6 people and every table comes with 4 people, we can put about 60 people in. But that doesn't happen. Most people come in with 2 people, so we're usually about 35 people in this spot.
What are you doing for May the 4th? Get me in the bar? How are you going to get me in there?
We're going to be doing a all-day live stream as well, starting at 1:00. My friend Elliot, who is a Star Wars expert, is running Star Wars trivia with friend of the bar Jet Lucas, who is of the Lucas clan, and then I'm going to be on Schmodown from 3 to 5 o'clock doing Star Wars trivia. And then at 6 o'clock, we have Merry and Pippin. Billy Boyd and Dominic Monaghan are going to come and hang out at the bar and talk about what it's like to be in a massive franchise, because Dominic was in both Episode 9 and all the Lord of the Rings movies. So we got some fun stuff happening. And then Sideshow Collectibles will be broadcasting from the bar as well.
One of the hobbits is going to be in the cantina? 2
of them.
Dos hobitos.
Who?
Merry and Pippin from the movies. So Dominic Monaghan and Billy Boyd will both be there.
Both going to be there?
Mm-hmm. Does that get you in? Did I do it?
I'm impressed. I thought we were at a fucking big show down there, but you got fucking stars coming in. We're gonna be reduced to the fucking like late show, Mark.
In the alley.
Yeah, you guys could do some stand up with a hat in the alley. We'll talk about your fucking Marvel shows out in the back alley. Awesome.
Grand prize for the trivia. You'll have to be at the bar for trivia, so I suggest getting there early. The winner is going to take home our
Billy Boyd?
Yeah, you can't get Dominic Monaghan because they need him for the Star Wars movies. Billy Boyd you can take with you.
We're gonna give away our Grogu. We have the life-size Grogu, so that'll be first place if you want to come down and do trivia with us.
Nice.
Very cool. Let me tell you something. That's very, very cool, everybody. What are you waiting for? Fucking get in line right now for May the 4th at the Scum and Villainy Cantina, right there on Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood, not Florida, California, ladies and gentlemen. When can we come back then?
Well, supposedly June 15th, the world opens back up. But I'm going to go rewire all the cameras and everything and get it ready. And see if we can figure it out. I think we need to move back to, well, we'll have to figure out. We'll have to bring the show a little bit earlier on Saturday or do it Tuesday nights again.
Do it earlier on Saturday. Why? What time do you want the bar for like bar stuff?
We open at 6, so we could do like a 1 o'clock Fat Man.
Yeah, I mean, well, even if we did 3 o'clock, we just get out in like 2 hours. But that would be with an audience, right?
Yeah, we'd be able to have a limited audience.
And then everyone, you dump them out, and then you open up at 6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Or Tuesday nights.
I'm gonna have giveaways. I'll tell you what.
Years worth of stuff.
Oh my God, so much to give away, kids. So many prizes.
We also next week on this show have a really cool guest that I don't think we're going to reveal, but we were texting about. So you don't want to miss next week either.
Yeah. Yes. In a continuing tradition of us finally getting people with some fucking credibility on this show, not just the Robert Kirkmans of this world and shit, but real fucking people, you know, behind the scenes, the movers and the shakers. We're going to keep that up. And I think we got somebody cool coming to talk with us next week. Very, very cool. So come back when we do this next week. And when you come back, I'm going to tell you what you're going to see. You'll see me wearing this goofy hat, and you'll see the other guy with more dignity than fucking a $5 bill. Give it up for Mr. Marc Bernardin, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. I ripped off my glasses in salute.
It was such a Clark Kent kind of move. Suddenly I saw the Superman underneath.
And then I just posed up like I'm like really tall.
You did, man. I saw you bring your camera low and shit.
Oh yeah.
You turned the light up. You hit so you can hit your eyes, get a highlight in your eyes going.
Yes.
The people in chat are guessing that it's Victor Garber. Let me tell you. You'd know that would not be a surprise. I'd put out press releases. It'd be like
skywriters.
Yes. Hopefully y'all had a good time tonight, ladies and gentlemen. That's all the show that we got for you this week. Hopefully it was enough show that'll hold you over till next week. Don't forget Orlando. I'm coming to see you. Delray Beach. I'm also coming to see you. Go to csmod.com for tickets and whatnot. And crypto.j and silentbob.com if you want to get in on the smoking token fun and stuff like that. Mark, where can they get the shirt?
They can get this shirt at Swear Trek. I make no money on it. I just thought it was cool. But if you want to get my shirts, you can go to embattledclothing.com. And if you use the code MARK15, save 15% off your order. Resistance is fertile.
There it is, kids. We sold you our shit. We got nothing left to do this week except get off Zoom, go love our wives. Me, him, JC, all of us fucking married, man. So we're married. We're polygamists because we're married to our wives and we're married to this show.
Did we wed JC hastily?
I mean, when you got a kid, you fucking married. You know, it's all there. But hey, Bamf boy, get in here and defend.
Bamf.
Being an unmarried single dad, you fuck.
I am not married by the laws of the state of California. Well, maybe I am domestic partnered at this point.
You've been together. Yeah, I think. Well, Are you been together 7 years?
When did we move in? 2015. She moved in with me.
But had you known her before that?
Yeah, we met in 2008. So we lived together for.
You moved in.
What's up?
How long were you dating before she moved in?
About a year.
Does that get you to 7? I would say you're domestic partners. Is that what that's called? Domestic
Yeah, I think that works.
Sure.
common law marriage. That's what
Common law. Yeah.
Well, then,
Our
mazel tov.
wedding's been canceled twice since COVID.
That's right.
2 Aprils in a row.
He was supposed to be married, but fucking the disease had other ideas for him. And JC was like, "Fuck you, we're having a baby anyway."
We don't care.
All right, kids. There it is, man. For Fat Man Beyond, I'm Kevin Smith.
I am Marc Bernardin.
Tune in next week. Same fat time, same fat channel. Smodcast.com or
YouTube.com/Kevin Smith.
Jeff's Kiss.
I have the power.